Hello, dear viewers. Support me by subscribing to my channel and share my video if you like it. And also, make sure you comment your thoughts. Now let's start the video.
Do you ever question your existence? Haha, who am I kidding? You're human. You do that every day, if not good for you. Now you might be asking, why am I asking that question? Well, that's because I'm questioning my own existence. Why? Well, simple. I just happen to wake up in, well, nowhere. I like to call the void. Why? Well, because it's nothing but darkness, and the reason I'm questioning my existence is that I don't have a body anymore. I'm just a blue flame, which I'm guessing is my soul. Oh, and I'm seeing myself from a third perspective, which is really weird. Now you might be wondering, how exactly did I get here? Well, I tell you, I don't know exactly. I'm pretty sure I died. And by that I mean the last thing I remember is a truck heading right for me, and then I'm here. But the weirdest thing that has happened is that I can only remember information and nothing else. No people, no family, not even my name. But that's all right. Why? Because I think I was reincarnated. The reason why I think that it feels like 6 weeks is because I can't really take time in here. But anyway, after those 6 weeks, I started to feel warmth, like I was in a bathtub. And there was also a heartbeat, which I'm guessing is my new mother. So now I'm just waiting to be born. But I'm going to tell you something. I'm not just like any fetus, I am a super fetus. Why is that simple? I have energy, because it gets boring in here, and I can't do any so as to not go crazy. I started meditating, and let me tell you, that shit is hard. Props to those monks, but I eventually got used to it with a simple trick. I just imagine a fire which would represent my intrusive thoughts when meditating, and then blow them out to stop them. At first it didn't work, and it was really annoying to do that. But I kept persisting, and soon I could finally do it. And so after my great achievement, I started doing what I think all people that meditate do, and look inside my soul, and I found a pale blue tiny wisp energy. Even though it was weak, it was beautiful. I was so entranced by it that I just watched the way it moved. It felt like a dance. It was beautiful, but it was incomplete, missing something, and then I knew what was missing without hesitation. I started to dance with it, figuratively. I mean, I was using my will to do the dance with it and control it. At first it was hard, but after what seemed 1 month of dancing with the energy which has gotten bluer, which has gotten bigger in, I finally had full control. There was no resistance from Ahmed. I just lead it in when I practice with it. After coming out of my daze, I realized I had a full body. Well, I was no longer a fetus, and I was a full baby, so I started to explore my new body. How, you may ask? Simple. I just spread my energy all over my new body, even though my body was small, that I barely got anywhere when I first tried it. But because of that, I did notice something whenever I completely exhaust my mana, which is what I'm calling this energy, mostly because of its color. As I was saying, when I exhaust my mana and meditate, it comes back at a bigger quantity, which made me really happy. So I started doing that every time I explored my body. And this kept going on a cycle for what seemed like 4 months. I finally explored my body, which I think is an elf, because when I got to the ears, they were really long. Either that or I have a really bad mutation, but who cares? After doing that, I got bored. I did nothing but keep putting my mana in my body, because I got an idea that it might make my body stronger. But that got boring fast. Even after I started compressing the many to get a better quality, it just got really boring. It's not my fault. Try living in the womb for 9 months with nothing better to do. I would have gone crazy if I didn't have this energy. So I kept doing this, giving my mana to my body, then compressing it, then meditating for what felt for months. But I knew I was about to be born because I have gotten bigger, but stopped growing for a few days. So I decided to take a break and save my energy for my birth. And it's a good thing that I did, because after a few days I was met with something truly disgusting and shocked me to my core. A black like sludge thing was coming for my soul. And it coming fast, so I started my first battle. This world I started guiding my magic to protect my soul and create a shield around it. But that thing easily broke through, but I didn't give up. I guided my energy to and shaped it like spikes and started shaving at the thing health. I did some damage, but I was running out of energy, but I did not give up, and I pushed to form the deepest part of my soul, for power, and it came in vibrant green energy glowing like sun, and with no effort killed that thing, and then just vanished. I would have started off thinking on the origin of, but unfortunate, my birth started. Being birthed is no fun, trust me. The best way to describe it is a grape going through a store. Sure, it will get through, but it gonna stretch the store, and most importantly, the grape gets squeezed so much. After going through that of which will never be spoken again, I was finally out and tasted my first breath of air, which was really dusty, lady, if you're gonna have a baby, make sure the place is clean. But who cares? It kept breathing, then felt a little pain on my butt. Now, normally a normal baby would cry, but I'm not a normal baby. My body has been powered by magic, and that makes a little stronger than most. But the pain did make me open my eyes, and well, let's just say I wished I never did. Why, you may ask? Simple, an elve, but not you normal elve. In the forest with a beautiful face. No, I saw what I now know is a house elve, a female. The very same one in Harry Potter, and the one bringing me closer to her, showing me her breast, which is skinny as hell, is my new mother, which means I'm a house elf, which sucks as hell, but at the same time gives me a chance. So I started sucking my new mother's breast and tried not to throw up, and as I did that, I thought, even though I'm a house elf, lowest of the lowest, it doesn't mean I have to be weak forever. I'm in a place where wizards think they're gods with just a little power, and being a house elf, they will never pay attention to me, which gives me the perfect opportunity to get truly powerful. I'll show all these wizards true power. And who knows, maybe I'll save this punny race. Yeah, even though I'm a house elf doesn't mean I can be more after all. If Voldemort and Harry can be powerful in this world, then anyone can. I just need to put in the work. Look out, the world, a king has been born. I proclaim myself as the Elf King. Just as I said that, my mana flared up as if agreeing with me. I smiled and then went to sleep to conserve energy for tomorrow. Money. In an unknown place not touched by man or womankind since its creation, on top of a hill, a seedling sprouted as if celebrating the arrival of someone special arriving. Popsy, fucking Popsy, that what my new mother called me. Why? Because her name is Mopsy, which is just fucking stupid as shit, but it doesn't matter why, you ask, because I change it sooner or later. And it not like my name is the worst thing I have to worry about, because the next day I woke up by my mother moving and wrapping me in a cloth, then putting me on the back like those women do in third world countries, and then started working right after she just gave birth. My God, house elves have it bad like fuck. And as much as it sucked, it did give me of an idea of where I was, or more specifically when I was. The apparent date, 1970 July 13, which mean I was born on July 12, and also that the main story starts in 21 years. And that made me happy because I'll have a good amount of time to grow up and become powerful. But for now, I just watched my mother work, mostly because I'll probably need to do this soon, and also to take in as much information that I can, such as making a map of this place in my head, and also getting used to operating, because elves aren't the brightest when it comes raising their children. That might not be true, because after she did a couple of times, I got used to it and even started watching on how she does it. How, you may ask? Simply by moving magic to my eyes, I can see her mana. I'm guessing it works on other people, hopefully. And so I watched her clean, and every time she apparates, I look and at her mana and see how every part of it moves, and I kept doing that till she made food for who I'm guessing is her master. Hopefully they're at least okay, wizards. I was wrong, like, really wrong, these guys. Monsters, let me tell you what happened. My mother went to wake her master. She said sir multiple times till finally she shook him, and without missing a beat he slaps her away and wakes up, of course. My mother apologizes and then leave and sets the breakfast on the table, just in time for her master to come. He dressed in a suit and started eating. He had a mustache and looked fairly normal, but I knew better when I looked at his menu. It was black, but with a few spots of blue and white. It was disgusting. Then the mistress came, who was dressed in a Victoria dress. She had the same manner color as her husband, just weaker. She looked normal. Black hair, normal face and body type, a typical mum. And then finally 2 girls who were twins and looked like their mother with the same hair color came and sat down and started eating like everyone else. "Mommy, look, it seems the elf gave birth. It's so ugly." One of the twins said when it saw me, "Yes, I can see. It's ugly. Just don't touch it or bother it. If we have to buy another house. Elve, because of you two, I ground you for life," the mother said. "Now, Margaret, they just want to play with it, and who cares? It's just a house, elf." The master said, "If you say so, but try not to kill it as a newborn," she said. Then kept eating, and after the twins finished eating, they told my mother to give me to them, and she did with no hesitation. And how I spent my hours of torture till they got bored of me and left me. I only got my mother to come and get after, yelling with my tiny lungs, and she just picked me up and continued to work with a smile on her face. After she finished, she fed me again as I tried not to barf, and then went to sleep, which I now know is a doghouse. But I didn't go to sleep. I had things to think about and plans to plan, and so I started to think. I have 21 years before the main story starts. Plenty of time to prepare, but how exactly do I prepare? Well, I guess do what I've been doing so far, strengthen my body with my mana, compress my mana to get a better quality, and now always empty my mana reserves before I go to sleep. The new things I'll need to do is to learn occlumency, which will probably be easy with the knowledge of fanfiction I've read on Harry Potter. After learning occlumency, I'll just keep upgrading it till I'm sure no wizard will be able to enter it. After that, I'll start learning all the magic I can. Will be easy since there's a library in the house. Now the real problem is Dumbledore. I need to figure out if he evil or good, but crazy Dumbledore, but that will come later. Good, I've gotten a okay plan now. I need to start training, more specifically training Wandless, which should be easy for my kind. I took out my tiny hand and pointed up Lumazai. I thought, after imagining a ball of light, then moving my magic through my hands, and then a little light come out of my hand, and I keep feeding it my mana till all of it was eaten by the light, making me feel exhausted. Good, it looks like training Wandless won't be a problem. I just have to keep doing what I've been doing, and fall in line and wait till I can strike like a snake in waiting. But right now I need sleep. I'll start trying doing occlumency training tomorrow night. If Barden went to sleep. Waking as a baby is a pain in the ass. Why, you may ask? Well, first, I'm hungry as shit, and I shit myself, which is embarrassing, but my so beloved mother changed me, and then feed me, which is nice. Is still feel bad for her. She but a slave, and her master is herself. How sad, but don't worry, once I get strong enough, I free you. And just like yesterday, she did the same thing today. Made breakfast, set the plates and food. Then the family ate. The girls left me alone today, so that's good. But this day wasn't all bad, because it would seem that this family of wizards has a library in here, and you have no idea how happy I am. Because they have a library, it will be easier for me to learn and gain power more easily. So I will start going to the library at night, and because of that, I will need to start sleeping in the day to save what little energy I have. And so I did my normal routine, which I've seen has been giving me not as many returns as in the beginning, but it's still working just slower. After doing my routine, I went to sleep. But truthfully, I just entered a deep state of meditation, which is easy with the practice I've had, but you might be asking, why am I doing this? Well, you see, the first thing you should do if you ever find yourself in Harry Potter world, or just any world in general, you need to protect your mind, and that applies to the world of Harry Potter. I mean, Dumbledore could read my mind and just start manipulate me in minutes if I don't have any defense. So I now need to start occlumency, and I've gotten a general idea of how to do it from the various fanfiction I've read. So first I need to enter a deep state of meditation, then clear my mind. I have already done that, so check now. The next step is to imagine a door, which I do, and make it link to your inner world. And just like that, imagine opening that door, then all of a sudden I was in an aula with a room that felt infinite, and when I looked around I could see orbs of different color, which probably represent the emotion. I even saw my memories before I was reincarnated. But it was weird. There were people, but no face, just information. Okay. I've done the hard part, which wasn't really that hard, but I did have a lot of experience in this, and maybe house elves have a talent for this and just never figured it out because none of them ever tried it. Okay, now the next step is to collect all my memories and then organize them, and thanks to FanFiction they have given me the perfect way. So I imagined a very powerful vacuum and it appears beside me, so I pick it up and turn it on and point it up, and within seconds it started sucking up memories, orbs left and right, till eventually it took all of them. Okay, that's finished now. I imagine the vacuum cleaner turning into a password-protected computer, and boom, no more is there a vacuum by me, but a computer waiting for me to put a password, which I do, then go to Files, which has all my memories sorted, and just like that, I'm halfway finished. I was about to continue, but I suddenly felt really tired, so I stopped and exited out to see my whole mana storage is depleted. But I guess that was to be expected. I mean, I am 2-day-year-old, so I stopped and got some sleep. After sleeping well like a baby, I woke up to my mother sleeping, so I carefully got out of her embrace and crawled out of the doghouse to see it was night. Now, normally I would go back to sleep, but today I have a mission. I'm going to how I look like, for example. My mother looked just about the same as you would see an elf, but older, which is probably why she had me, because elves like to make their children serve their master. Because if I can't serve them, my children must. But anyway, I want to see how I look like, no matter how ugly I might be. And I have the perfect way to do that. I'm going to operate into the bathroom that I passed while on my mother's back. Now, operating is dangerous if you don't know how it works, but luckily I know how it does. How it works is like teleporting in that jumper movie. You see a place, then just imagine yourself there also, and put a little magic and boom, you're there. So I concentrate on the bathroom and bring up the image of it, which is really easier, and I can even remember every detail. And within seconds of doing this, I felt a pulling force in my stomach. Then it felt I was twisted from inside out until there was a pop and I was in the bathroom sink. But before I could think of anything, exhaustion hit me. Not that I can complain. I operated being 2 days old, and after spending my whole mana reserve, even though my reserve refill fast because of my meditation, it's still taxing to do this, but it was worth it. After taking a short needed rest, I finally looked up and at the mirror, and what I saw entranced me. Don't get me wrong, I was ugly as shit. I looked like one of those hairless cats. But what entrances me was my eyes. They were beautiful, even more so because I had heterochromia, meaning my eyes were different colors. One was emerald green, and the other was the bluest of blue. They looked like art, yet at the same time like the most precocious rubies, and they seemed to glow in the moonlight that was coming from the window. I could no get over them. I just kept staring. After reluctantly stopping staring at my eyes, I painstakingly teleported by to my mother, which was even harder, and emptied my reserve dry, and as soon as I got into the bed, I fell asleep as soon as I got into my mother's skinny arms. After waking up and feeling tired from yesterday's exertions, I decided to take a break of the sort. I've realized a few things, the most important of which is that I need a lot of mana to be able to do about just anything, and try to do all of this with my just being 3 days old is a dumb way to die fast. So I'm going to stop doing so much and just focusing on making my mana reserves bigger, and only can I continue my occlumency. And plus I won't need occlumency this early in life. Even if I do, I already have pretty much the strongest way to hide my memories. So I took a break, and the days went by. I just focused on getting my reserves bigger and paying attention to the house dynamic, and here's what I've learned so far. The wizard that owns my mother is called the Hubert family. The head of the family is Robert Hubert, and the mistress is Margaret Hubert. Then the heiress is Tracy and Nancy Hubert. Robert is one of those pure-blooded dumbass dark wizards who is probably on Voldemort's army. He has a black hair, brown eyes, and a mustache that makes him look like one of that evil baron in a book. Then the Margaret, she has black-brown hair and brown eyes. She looks like that mother that gives money to stay away from her daughter, and also look like she has a stick up her ass. And finally, there's the twins, or I should say, Dimon, with the way they treat me. They both look identical, and has their mother hair and eyes. They look like any normal children. Now you might have seen that I said Robert was a possible Voldemort supporter. Well, that's because Voldy has already started terrorizing the wizarding world of Britain, and by my calculations, the first wizarding war should start soon, and will last for 11 years or more, specifically July 31st, 1980, supposedly when our main character is born, Harry Potter. So I know I'm going to be at least safe with Robert on Voldy's side. After taking a break for a few days, I finally decided to finish my occlumency, so I went into my mind and was welcomed to the white emptiness of my mental space, with only my computer full of my memories. I picked up my computer and decided to start filling this place with more life, so I closed my eyes and imagined myself in a forest. Then I felt my mana being used up, then stopping as I opened my eyes to a beautiful forest instead of the regular emptiness of my mind. I started walking and heading deeper in the forest until I came where I need to be, a tree in plain sight. I take the computer and just insert it inside, then take my hand back, and just like that, I'm protected, at least the best I can do with this much mana. After finally finishing my occlumens, I went back to my routine, and I also finally noticed something really sick. My mother hasn't really eaten that much, like she just eats scalp and nothing else, which would make sense on how skinny she is, but doesn't answer my question of how she has survived for this long on so low amount of food. Then it hit me. Mana Robert is linked to my mother, and the mana is keeping her just alive enough to work properly. It's no wonder you never see a fat elve. And then I came to a scarier conclusion. If Robert is the person keeping her alive, wouldn't that also mean he, the person, control how she acts? It all makes sense now how wizards have captured elves that bind their minds before they're even born, and are able to think of free will. For example, when I was born, that black thing must have been Robert's mana, and the bond that elf has with a wizard, the bond attaches itself to an elve's soul at the begging of it. Even snuffs out the flames of its will before it even began. It would explain why, even though Dobby hated working for the Malfoys, still just wanted to work for a kinder wizard. Wow. Just wow, I have gotten out of a big pickle without even realizing it, thanks to a lot of the mysterious energy, which brings up the next question. What was that energy I tried finding, but no matter how deep I look inside, I still can't find it? I guess it's a question to be answered for later. After finding one of the darkest, most secrets of the wizarding world, I've come to the conclusion that I must free my elf brothers and sister, whether they want it or not. It's almost as if something is pushing me to it. But I need to first find out where to begin. This brings me here to the Hubert family library. After apparating in here looking for books on the mind, and after looking for some time, I found a book on Legilimend, but it at a higher level than I'm currently on, and I can't take it and put it back without someone knowing, so looks like it'll need to grind. And by that I mean to start reading any book on anything while also passively doing telekinesis, so I can reach the book. Plus it also helps make my mana pool bigger, which has been getting bigger recently, which means letting it all out before I sleep is a good idea. So I just keep doing this till, well, actually as long as I can, because right now my mana reserves are like a shot glass, and for comparison my mother's is full glass and Robert is like a small puddle. So progress. And that was my new routine: wake up, eat, watch Mother and the Wizard family while doing my routine, then eat again, then wait till night so that I can apparate into the library and read a book from there, then apparate back my mother, and finally empty my mana reserve by doing simple magics like Lumos or my own Wingardium Leviosa. Then finally sleeping. After doing that for a few days, I just fell into a cycle. It has been about 1 year since I have reincarnated into this world, and I can officially say that I have evolved from a supper fetus to a super child. Yes, you heard right, child. Now you might be confused why I call myself a super child. Well, you see, having my body supplied by mana since the day I could feel my body has had some effects, such as now, believe or not, I am almost as tall as my mother, despite being 1 year old. Now you think that there would be some negative effect from this, especially from the wizards, but nope. First and foremost, the reason why my body is fine and don't have any mutation is that I just guided the mana into my body and let it do the rest. Which is why I'm fine, and for the wizard, well, they're wizards, they were just happy that they have a new servant at such a young age. Now, after I started growing in size, it made me happy, but What got me excited is how strong I am. I of course wanted to see how strong this new body is, and what do you know? I'm close to superhuman level. And by that I mean I was able to lift a couch by myself. Now that may not sound impressive, but remember I am only 1 year old and an elf, so after seeing how strong I am, I started doing something I think no elf has done in years. I exercised. And when I tell you it helped, it would be an understatement, because with my body being fed by my mana and exercise, I got, well, in a better term, strong but not at a ripped level, but I could see it coming in. Now you might be saying how that could not possibly happen because of how I was being fed. The wizards would have caught on to me by now. Well, to that, I tell you that I don't eat the food they give me. I parrot muggle grocery stores every day and eat there, so I am a healthy elf. And as to the wizards, I thought of that as soon as I started getting bigger. I started studying the disillusionment charm, and the result of it was to set up a kind of fog that hides my body by spreading my mana around me. It also helps me stay hidden by going into plain sight. I could be next to Robert and he wouldn't know anything about it. Speaking of magic in that part, I have gotten far in the capacity part. I have gone up from shot glass to the same as my mother and slightly more. And in the color, my mana is no longer pale, but finally blue, but refining it has gotten slower. But that doesn't matter. I still do it. Now, for the magic part, I have read a good part of their library. The reason I'm so slow is that I can only read when they're sleeping well. That is until I learned the Gemino charm, which has helped well. So now, instead of waiting for them to sleep and read, I just duplicate the book and put it in my hideout, which is just a treehouse I made in the forest and just read when I have free time. And last but least, my occlumens has gotten to a good point where I'm sure even Dumbledore won't be able to penetrate it. Because of the new mana capacity, I turned my forest slowly into a whole planet, which took most of my time, but it was worth it. To give a tour of the planet, it's filled with nothing but forest and animals, and every animal is based on mythology and the boss are based on gods. If some way he is able to beat each and every one of the animals and gods, then he won't find anything, because my base of operation is actually in space, where I have a tiny invisible spaceship by the moon. Now that I've told you about me, it's about time I told you about the family that my mother serves. Nothing about them has really changed, except for the fact that the twins got a little taller and officially turned elven, and once a magical child in Britain, he or she gets a letter to go to the supposedly best school in the world. And that happened just about a day ago, and that's why today I finally get to go outside and see the wizarding world for the first time. After waking up, I started the new routine that was given to me by the wizard family. After seeing my growth, I've been doing this for about a month. And I have gotten used to it, that I can shut my brain off and do it. It starts with me making them breakfast, and then watering the plants and making sure the bushes are trimmed. And if you could not tell before, the family lives in those old Victorian mansions like almost every wizard family. After doing that, I wait for the family with my mother, who has gotten older and weaker. After a few minutes of waiting, they all finally come down, with the twin being the most excited ones. The twins scarfing their food down until dear old Margaret said something. "Girls, stop that unsightly behavior. It matters not how excited you are. You should always act like a lady," she said with a haughty stick-up-the-arse look that I have seen too many times. "Yes, mother," they said at the same time. "Oh, Margaret, give the girls a break. They are just excited to finally get their wands. I remember when I got mines like it was yesterday," Robert said with a little smile. After they finished their breakfast, they each went to the chimney and said Diagon Alley one by one, and then teleported in a flash. I of course followed after them with a pop. After another pop, I am finally in a place that I have been waiting to see, the Leaky Cauldron, and let me tell, it sucks. It just looks like a dirty pub. I mean, I was expecting at least something more interesting than this, but nope, just this. Of course, the wizards did not even pay attention to, and Robert and the rest went into the back and tapped on the bricks and opened the entrance to Diagon Alley. And this time I was not disappointed. It was a sight to behold. You could see various animals in windows of shops as I passed by them and feel the magic in the air. Without a doubt, it was as if I stepped into a different world altogether. "Now, girls, before we can start shopping for your supplies, we need to go to Gringotts and get some galleons," Robert said to the twins. Yes, and do remember to be on your best behavior, even in front of those disgusting goblins, Maigret said with a face of disgust. After a little while we arrived in front of a building that had some goblins guarding it. When we got close enough, I saw an inscription by the door. Enter, stranger, but take heed of what awaits the sin of greed. For those who take but do not earn must pay most dearly in their turn. So if you seek beneath our floors a treasure that was never yours, thief, you have been warned, beware of finding more than treasure there. I always did love a good riddle or poem, so I enjoyed it, well, but I did not stop to enjoy it, and just followed the family. But I did notice something from the goblins. It felt as if they were watching me, as if all their eyes were on me at first. I thought they were looking at Robert and his family, until he reached the front, and I saw the goblin reception looking at me. But he stops when Robert started talking. Call Grinker and tell him the Hubert family has come to withdraw from the family vault, he said with a face that said, I was better than you. The goblins sneered and said something in their language to the guard nearby. A minute later, another goblin, which I'm guessing is Grinker, came and told them to follow him. He led us to the mine carts, the same as in the movie, and we rode in silence to the vault. As we rode, he kept looking at me. That started making me paranoid first. The goblins in the front, now him, so I silently checked to see if anything was wrong with my cloak, and found nothing wrong with it. So I guess it must be something else. But what? My thoughts got interrupted with the cart stopping and Grinker getting out and opening the vault. Robert and the rest went inside the vault, and I was about to go in when Robert said to stay here. So I stayed, and once again he was looking at me, so I asked why. Why do you keep looking at me, I said after turning to him with a smooth and calm voice. He was surprised at first, but immediately composed himself and said, no reason, just your eyes. The first time I have seen something like that. Oh, thank you. I'm quite proud of them, I said with a smile, then went back into a neutral face because Robert and the rest were coming out. I said nothing to Grinker after that, and just left Gringotts, following Robert and the rest of his family, not knowing the effect I had on them. Between Grinker. My name is Grinker, proud goblin and manager at Gringotts Bank. I manage a few wizarding families' accounts, and every day it's about the same thing. A wizarding family comes in with their pride, their superiority and disgust when they look at us. But we do not care what they think of us. We are mighty goblins, and for the most part we just ignore them and take from their vaults through various loopholes. These idiots never look for. It was a normal day, stupid wizards come and go, but today something different and interesting happened. I was called to open the vault for the Hubbard family, another stupid wizard, except this one was a dark one. And then I saw him, a weak house elf, but the closer I got to him, the more I felt my words were wrong. I have seen house elves, and most follow their masters like his, a god they worship, the very ground they walk on. Not only that, every house elf I have seen has been afraid of how we goblins look. But this one was truly different, from the way he held himself with confidence, to the way he walked or how he would around the rooms with those eyes of his. But what truly confirmed it was when we were riding to the Herbert's vault and I got close enough to feel his magic. A normal wizard's magic is weak, but as they grow up they get stronger, but only as they reach peak maturity, and then they slowly get weaker with age. Only a few special ones, such as Dumbledore or he who must not be named, can stay powerful as they ages. But elves are different than other species. Their power doesn't grow, which is probably because they don't use their magic that much, but even they only have as much magic they are born with. But this elf magic was overflowing like a river, as if it was an infinite river, and that's not all. The purity of it rivals most wizard teenagers and some weaker adults. After I opened the Hubert's vault, they went in and made the elf stay outside, and I started staring at him, and this time his eyes, they had the same shine that the lovely gold has. I must have started too much, because he asked me why I was staring at him much. To my surprise, so I told him I was staring at his eyes, and he told me he was proud of them. Something I have never heard from an elf. After the Hubert family left, I could not stop thinking about him, and I could only feel that something is going to change. I don't know when, but I know it will happen, and he will be in the middle of it all. After that interesting event, Robert and the rest finally got started shopping for the supplies. They first went Madame Malkin's robes for all occasions and had them each fitted for their new robes. It honestly made me feel jealous. I mean, I am wearing rags, but I know I have to endure it for now. After the girls finished with their robes, which I started carrying, they went to buy the cauldrons and then get their books at Flourish and Blutes, which I enjoyed with the pure amount of knowledge that is here, but I know that one day I will have it all. After they got their books and gave me it again, which was starting to get heavy even for me, but I just realized I could use magic to make it float, which I did. This continued for a while, the girls getting their supplies and giving them to me to carry, and just me enjoying the sights. The second best part of this all is when they went to get their owls. It was really nice to be around so many animals. I don't know why, but I just like animals a lot. But don't get me wrong, I still eat meat. I just respect these magnificent creatures, especially the owl. The twins got matching owls because they named them something that I could not be bothered to remember. And then finally they started going to Ollivander wand shop, which I'm not going to lie, I am excited about for a lot of reasons. One is I can observe how exactly a wand interacts with a wizard. We entered the shop, which looked the same as the movie, but the room just gave it a feeling of mystery. "Daddy, I don't think anyone in here," Tracy said after looking around. "Yes," where the owner, Nancy, followed after her. Robert was about to say something until the presence I felt behind finally spoke. "I'm right here, Miss Herbert," Ollivander said, shooking all except me. "Ah, Mr. Hubert, 12 inches long oak with a phoenix tail feather core, and Madam Hubert, 9 inches spruce wood with unicorn tail as the core. I never forget a wand, it seems. Just yesterday you were in here," Ollivander said while having a face that said he was remember found times. "Yes, but now we're here to get our girls their wands. Would you please do your job instead of scarring everyone that comes in here?" Robert said with an annoyed and angry face. "Ah, yes, let's get it along with it then. Come along," Ollivander said with a happy face, as if he didn't even hear what Robert said. He brought the girls up front and started measuring both of their arms and hands. Then finally he went and got a wand from the box. It was at this time that I put more mana into my eyes to see the mana flow. "Try this, Miss Nancy, 8 inches mahogany dragonheart string core wand," he said, then gave her the wand. When he gave her the wand, I focused on her mana and saw how unrefined it was and how little control she had of it. But when it went from her hand to the wand, the mana was forced into a straight path, blocking it from being free. It was barbaric. That doesn't seem to be it. Let's try another," he said after grabbing the wand from Nancy. This went on for a few minutes, including Tracy, and the results that I have gotten from this is that wands are stupid. To easily explain this, imagine mana being water and the container being your body. When you want to take out the water and use it, you would try taking it out slowly in practice to make it perfect. But with a wand, it's basically putting a high-tech hose with pressure control on the container. Sure, it can give you power, but on the long run, you won't be able to ever use that water without that wand, even if you could find a stronger way to take out said water from the container. As much as I was disappointed, I was still happier because getting a wand would have been a pain in the ass. After Nancy and Tracy got their wands, which were 8 inches cedar and unicorn hair for Tracy and 8 inches mahogany phoenix tail feather for Nancy, they finally finished getting their supplies and went home, and I was glad because this was getting heavy and annoying. Now, can I ask you something? What do you think 2 wizard children do after getting their wands? Simple. They practice more specifically. They use a practice dummy to use spells on, and guess who gets to be the practice dummy? After putting their stuff away, I was called outside and told to stay in front of them and not move. "I'm going first," Nancy said. "Why do you get to go first?" Tracy said angrily. "Because I'm the oldest," Nancy said with a haughty face like her mother. "Fine," Tracy said. Nancy smiled and turned to me and pointed her wand at me. I acted afraid, but I want the reason because I'm using this as an opportunity to test out if I can shield myself from magic. So I have already spread my mana around myself, so now all I have to do is pretend. "Confrigo," she said, and then I felt I was hit by a truck, which trusts me, I know, and was thrown back onto the floor. I did not need to pretend because that did hurt, but it did give me insight on what I did wrong. I just spread the mana and never hardened it. So I did just that, and stand back up and went to the spot I was on just in time for Tracy to hit me with another confrigo. But this time it did not hurt that much. But it did take a lot out of my mana reserve. This continued for about an hour till they got bored, so I just picked myself and went to the house where my mother was. She just gave me food and went to sleep. It always bothered me why she never spoke to me. But I never spoke to her either, just because I know what I'm speaking to is but a doll. The thought of legilimens did come up to try to see if I could undo the damage, but I quickly dismissed that idea. I'm nowhere good enough at legilimens. In fact, I haven't even started. I don't really have any people to try it out yet. I ate my food, which was just scarps, but I don't care. I was too tired from that beating to care. I know you might think, why do you take the beatings and don't fight back to that? I say that I take those beatings because it's the only way I can stay safe in this world. I am a house elve, lowest of the usse. All my species is supposed to be able to do one thing, and that's to serve by serving these people. No monster. I get knowledge and place to cultivate my power till I'm ready to actually take care of myself. And if that mean hiding my fangs and take a beating, then by all means. But don't get me wrong, I will have revenge not just for me, but for the mother I never had. With that thought, I went to sleep. Waking up was one of the things that I liked in my last life, but not anymore nowadays. Waking up is just a pain in the ass because I must serve idiocy, giving a form, but I just push those thoughts down and put on my weak faces. After stretching for a while, I did my morning routine and started making breakfast, which went by fast, mostly because I wasn't listening. But I did hear about the part where Robert is starting to teach the girls to get a head start from the other students. Which means I'm free, which doesn't happen for a long time. After the idiots finished their breakfast, I teleported into my treehouse, which is just a small space filled to the brim with books and a chair to read in. Now, normally I would read, but by now I've read half the library, plus I need to test something. I went outside the treehouse, and I feel at peace as soon as I breathe in the fresh forest air. I start walking until I arrive at a clearing, and then look at a tree. Okay, now to test out my theory, I close my eyes and point my hand at the tree. Now, how should I do this? Let's do it on pure imagination first. It's the easier option. I imagine my mana going to mine coming through my palm, but as soon it comes out, for it to turn into water, and lo and behold, water come out of my hand, but doesn't come out fast, so I turn it off. So, I was right, you see. Wizards, much like humans, like to put things on a scale they can understand. And in this situation, wizards are using magic wrong. For example, the reason they Latin to do their spells is that if they did in English, there'd be too many accidents. Do you see the flaw in that? Just by saying a word, they use their mana automatically with no control whatsoever. This should only apply to children to help them learn mana control, but these idiots don't even realize that. You see, my theory is that when wizards, much like humans, discovered the true infinite of magic, they scaled it down so they at least somewhat comprehend it, but like humans, they eventually put a limit on themselves and limit their growth, and now they can even use mana with a crutch. How pathetic, but the most pathetic thing is the fact that my species is being controlled by these idiots. Ha, I said then, sent a lightning bolt to the tree, making it fall and crash. After calming down, I went to the tree and supplied it with mana, healing it so it could grow again, and went back to my treehouse and started studying. Now I know, weird, why am I studying if I just need to use my imagination to create my spells? The reason is that even though I can do that, I still need to know the spells that are going to be thrown at me. Plus, it helps me come up with new spells, but the actual reason is that I have been looking for a way for me to evolve this body. You see, I've noticed that nowadays that my mana capacity has been increasing, which you think would not make sense, because I have a bit stronger mana capacity than my mother, but after thinking it for a while, you would realize that elf only has children when they're reaching the end of their lives, and they have children to continue their service to their master, and the life expectancy of an elf is 200 years old. And dear old Mumsy here is 190, which brings up a lot of question on how she managed to even have me, but that for later. The important thing is that I have the biggest mana capacity an elf is ever going to have because of my body. But the problem is that it won't ever increase. will remain as a puny elf with a limited capacity, and I refuse to stay like that's why, after figuring that out, I delved into the library books, but so far I haven't found anything relating to elf, which was a no-brainer. The only thing that I could find was a book about rituals, but even after scouring through the library I found nothing, which I should have again guessed because these rituals are banned, but I expected dear old Robert to have. And now it only leaves me with a few options, which I'm hoping that the first one will work, because if not, the only option I have is to go to that place which I have crossed out as a place where no smart person should go. Okay, we can try doing that tomorrow after I have practiced that spell to a good amount of level, I said, then apparating back to the house to continue the day. After yet another annoying day, I find myself yet again at my treehouse, but this time it's night and I'm not reading any books, but instead I'm tracking some animals to help me practice a spell. All I'm doing is spreading my mana in a sonar-like way to sense the life signs nearby. After a few tries, I finally found what I wanted, a mouse, so I grab it with my mana and bring it in front of me. I look at it as it squirms, trying to get freed. I kind of felt bad at first, but I remember this for my survival. Sorry, little guy, but the survival of the fittest. I pointed my finger at it and said, Imperio. A blue lightning-like light exists on my finger and hit the mouse, and it stops moving. I feel something connect to my mental space, which I'm guessing is the mouse brain. Let's try something. Jump, I think, and the mouse jumps without missing a beat. So I kept making it do more stuff. At one point, I made it dance, but after that, I grab it with my mana again and stop the Emperor's curse, and it starts struggling again. Now, the next one, Crucio. I said, pointing my finger at the mouse, making red lighting like come out my finger, hit the mouse, making start squirming madly and making painful sounds. So I stop its pain and it stops moving, probably because of the pain. Sorry, little friend, but that one matters after this, I said, then pointing my finger at it one last time. No offense, mouse, but I could not come to the world and not do this, and plus you get to die in one the coolest way to die for a mouse, I said, then closed my eyes and thought of all the hatred I could muster. All the ways I've seen my mother treated, the anger that I feel when they're mocking faces. I open my eyes and yell 2 words. Avada Kedavra. A bolt of green lightning comes out of my finger, giving a deadly aura, hits the mouse, and for not a few seconds, it stops breathing. I look at me, the mouse, I'll bury you at least. I can do that, I said, then grab the mouse with my mana and bury a hole and bury him. After all that, I went home and went to sleep, knowing whatever comes next, I can fight it or even kill it. Once again, I wake up in my tiny doghouse and start my day, and just like any other day, it went the same. Usually, I would not mind this if it were not for the fact I was a servant, but we can't always get what we want. I prepared breakfast as normal, and my mother woke the wizards up for breakfast, which they came for after a few minutes. The first to arrive and sit as always was Robert, then Margaret, and finally the twins. After arriving, they started eating as well, conversating. So girls, how goes studying? Margaret asked the twins after finishing eating. It's going well, Mother. So far, everything has been easy, and I have come up with any problems unlike some people, Nancy said while looking at Tracy, who lowered her head. Ah, I see. It seems that we're going to have to increase your workload, Tracy, Margaret said to Tracy, looking disappointed. Not to worry, I have already started doing that, Robert said to Margaret. After that, the conversation died down, and eventually they finished their breakfast and went about their day, which means I finally have time to myself and I can finally play out my plan. To do that first, I need to parry to Diagon Alley first. So I think of Diagon Alley, and with a pop, I'm there, so I turn invisible and sit somewhere to spot the crowd for my puppet. I know you might be wondering what I'm doing here, and to that I say wait and you will see my glorious plan. After waiting for a while, I finally see the person that I can use for this plan. A dark wizard that looks like he can be tricked very easily. He was about 6'1", had brown hair, and looked quite pretentious. So I get up from where I'm sitting and go up to him, putting on my best afraid face. Mr. Wizard, Sir Poppy was told to tell you by my mistress to come and see her over there, I said, then pointing over to an alley. He looked confused at first. But after a while, he got a knowing look on his face and said, "Oh, really then, your mistress surely won't mind showing her face to me before we talk," he said, making me understand that he thinks this is a scam. "Yes, sir," I said, scurrying along back to the alley. After I made it back to the alley, I spread my manner and shaped it into a very sexy female, which happened to be Angelina Jolie, then made her go out of the alley and do the sexy come-play finger play, then made her come back and wait by me. It doesn't take a long time for him to come in. In fact, he practically runs up to her. "Hello, my lady. I'm sorry I did not accept your invitation earlier, but you can never be too sure," he said, then went for her hand to kiss it. But I made the illusion back away because although this is a good illusion, I'm not at a level to have it touch a person without it going through them. But I can make it speak. No touchy yet, and no worries, you can never be too careful," I made her say. Of course, where are my manners? I am Sir Daniel Astrid at your service, madam," he said. "Angelina Jolie, a pleasure to meet you, Sir Daniel," I made her say. "Now that we have introduced ourselves, might I ask why you called me here?" he said politely, but with subtlety, staring at her body. "Well, handsome, I called you here because after I saw you, I just couldn't stop until I have a piece, so what do you say?" I made her say while making her look him up and down. "Well, it would be a pleasure, my lady, truly a pleasure," he said, now looking at her body. "Good, but before that, Popsy, go along home. I'll be back in a few," I made her say. "Yes, mistress," I said, then walked past the wizard that hasn't even paid attention to me since coming here. "Now that thing is gone. Where were we?" he said. "Right about where you die," I said behind him, casting my spell. "Imperial," I said, making a lightning-like light come out my finger, hitting the wizard. "Wah!" he said just as my curse hit him. Immediately after I casted the Imperious curse, I stopped the illusion to save mana. I went into and I find something once again connect to my mind space. Good. First part. If the plan is complete now, let's try the next part. I look at the wizard and think jump, and he jumps just like the mouse did. I told him to walk, and he did. I did all sorts of tests such as talking and shooting spells, which all worked. After testing my new puppet, I told him to walk to our destination, Nocturne Alley. Why am I going to the underbelly of the wizarding world? To get books on rituals, of course, for this is the easiest way to get them. After walking into Nocturne Alley, you could feel all the eyes on us, so acted like any good elves would act, scared and cower behind my master, and gave a command to Daniel to show his wand, which made the eyes look away. After walking deeper inside, and finally we reached our destination and went inside. What was inside was a very old-looking store with many strange-looking objects which give a deadly aura, and at the front desk in the back of the store lay a man who looked dark brown hair which was unkempt and had a fox-like nature to him. New customers, welcome to Borgins and Burke's. My name is Borgins. What would you like to buy? The newly appointed Borgins said to us after we entered. I made Daniel walk confidently while I walked behind him, acting scared, and arrive at the counter where Borgins was before we start. I like to say something. I have come here for one thing and one thing only. One thing, so don't try to sell me anything else. I made Daniel say, which made Borgin face drop, but he quickly pulled it up and replied, "Well, of course, sir. Now what would you like?" he said with a smile that was not a smile. "I need books on rituals," I made him say. I'm sorry, sit. But this fine establishment does not sell these illegal books you speak of," Borgin said, still smiling. "But come on, let's not play this game," I made him say. I really don't know what Borgin was about to say, but I made Daniel cut him off. "I'll pay double the price it's worth, but don't try scam," Daniel said, making Borgin stop talking and take out his wand and do a spell that blocks out the store. "I will be right back, sir," he said with a big smile, and then went downstairs. I know you think I don't have any money to pay for this, but this is where dear old Daniel comes in. He happens to have a bag with an extension charm in it, and if that's not enough, I can always make him sign a contract so they can get the money from his vault at Gringotts. After a few minutes, Borgins comes back with an old-looking leather book and places it in front of Daniel on the counter. "How much?" I made him say. 10,000 galleons, he said to Daniel. "I thought I said not to scam me," I made Daniel say with an angry expression. You see, normally it would be 5,000 galleons, But you did say you would pay double, he said with a smirk. Fine. I made Daniel say and put his bag on the counter. There's 20,000 galleons in here. Take what I owe and leave the rest. And if I find you cheated me, we will have problems. I made Daniel say and show his wands. Yes, sir, Morgan said and took the bag and went down again. Give me the book, I ordered Daniel in my mind, making him give me the book. After a while, Borgens comes back up and gives Daniel the bag, so I order him to leave the store and head back where we came from. After we arrived back, I took his hand and apparated by my treehouse, and I took his wand. After that, I apparated to a muggle store close by and stole some ropes and chloroform. After apparating back, I ordered dear old Daniel to stand at the tree, and I strip nude of all his weapons and clothes, which he does. When he finishes, I tie him up on the tree from head to toe, and finally, I let go of the Imperice curse. As soon as I let go of the spell, he starts waking up, but I chloroform him and force him to sleep. And finally, I set up a barrier by spreading my mana round, just in case, and then start looking at him. Now what to do with you? After looking at him for a while, I decided that I will decide after I read the book, so I leave Daniel and back to the house, finding nothing has really changed. Robert is teaching the girls, and Margaret has gone out to talk to the other wife. I'm guessing, so I wait till night. When night comes, I apparated to my treehouse and see that Daniel is still asleep. So I start reading, which I never told you how, but I just make big lumos and float it above my head to see. While reading the book and trying to find an answer to my problem, Daniel finally woke up. Ugh, where am I? He said then, trying to move. Why am I tied up? Who dare to do this to me? He yelled, then started looking around. You elve, where's your master? Tell them to come here, he said when he saw me. Sigh. I put my book down and went up to him. Shut the fuck up, you annoying little shit, I'm reading, I said, then kick him and went back to the book. Ryu, how dare you kick me, you dirty weakling. When I get out of here, I will torture you for days, including your master, he said, with an angry face. Okay, now I'm angry, I said, and put my book down and went up to him once again. I'm going to tell you once again, shut the fuck up or else, I said, looking at him. Who do you think you are to order me around? You're just a mere servant now. Where your master? He yelled again. Sigh, man, you're stupid, just like the rest, I said, then pointed my finger at him. Crucio, I said, making a red lighting light come out of my finger, hitting him in a continuous wave, making him squirm and making painful sounds. When a few seconds go by, I stop the spell and wait for him to catch his breath. Let's get one thing straight. I have no master and never will. And lastly, don't compare me to other elves. I'm a whole different breed, I said. You, I remember you're that woman's elve. Where is she? He said, and started looking around. Did you not just hear what I said? I said to him. As if an elf could be behind. Now where's you mistress? He said. My God, I was wrong. You guys aren't stupid. You downright retarded, I said with a shocked look, and then made Angelina come out again. So you finally come now, tell me what you want, so we can be done with this, he said, looking arrogant again. She's really just an illusion. See, I said, then touched her, making my hands go through. What now? That impossible, you're lying, he said. I'm tired of this, I said, then fired another curio at him over and over again, but give him enough time to breathe so he doesn't go crazy. That should be enough now. Do you believe me? I said after stopping. I can't believe this, kidnapped by an elf, he said with a crazy face. What exactly are you going to do to me? He said with a little fear hiding in his face. I don't know yet, but for now, shut up or else, I said, pointing my finger at him, making him shake with fear. After he finally shut up, I went back to my book to try to find out anything to help, and after searching for a while, I finally found what I was looking for. It was a ritual on how to gain more mana capacity. Although this would not help my body, it would mean I would have another problem temporarily removed. The ritual says I need to sacrifice a virgin or virgin's wizard and witches to steal their mana to push your own capacity to a new level. The hard part of this is you need a powerful body to survive this. If not, you're going to pop like a balloon. But luckily for me, I checked that box. It may not be what I want, but it is what it is, I said, then putting the book down. Congratulations, I know what I'm going to use you for. I said, looking at Daniel. And that is, he said, almost looking hopeful. Now it wouldn't be nice to reveal the surprise now, would it? I said with a smile, making him start shaking. Sleep, I said, waving my hand, making him fall asleep immediately. I apparated back to the doghouse where my mum lives and start staring at the wizard's house. Okay, let's see our candidates first. We have Robert, and as much as I would like to kill him, his manner is too corrupt. I don't want that in my system. Next we have Margaret, not as corrupt as Robert, but I still corrupt. And then we have the twins, both have pure and fresh manner. Although not good in quality as mine, it's still good, and the equivalent amount of their manner combined equals to mine's, which is really unfair as I had to work for that much manner, and they just get it like that. Good now, we have the candidates now, on to the next part. What I need to prepare to do this, the best way I can think to do this, is to drug them when they're eating in the morning, which will work because although wizards are different than humans on some level, they're still humans, then I just need to take their wands, then strip them and tie them up and boom, I win. But the hardest part of this is what should I do with my mother? Although she never talked to me, she still is my mother and has taken care of me since birth. So what should I do with her? I can't get rid of what they did to her. So what should I do? And so, after thinking about it for a while, I reached a conclusion and put her to sleep too, and decided after this whole thing. With that, I went to sleep. Today I woke up with something I haven't had in a long time, vigor right now. I am excited, which might sound weird considering I'm going to kill people, but when you have lived with these monsters for even a year, you tend to lose your rationality. I made sure to wake up before my mother and apparated to a muggle pharmacy, then stole a packet of rohypnol, a date rape drug, and apparated back where I cast a spell on my mother for her to stay sleeping till I say so. I quickly make breakfast with orange juice and added the rohypnol inside each of them. After that, I set up the table and begin waking up the lambs. I thought about taking their wands, but I realized that they would notice that, so I just wait where I usually wait for them for breakfast. Again, they arrive the same way they always arrive, and start eating, but most importantly, they each drink the orange juice. They soon finished eating and start conversating. Then Robert looks at me and asks a question. "Popsy, were your mother?" he said with a sound of annoyance. "I'm surprised you could even notice her absence with how stupid you are," I said with a smile. "Weren't you? How dare you speak to me that way, you lonely thing," he yelled, and then stand up about to take out his wand, but just as he was the drug started taking effect. "What's going on?" Robert said, and passed out falling into the ground, and the rest of the family follows along. "Well, that was easy, but what you expect from wizards, they're idiots when it doesn't come to magic," I said, looking at the passed-out bodies of the family. "Now let's not dilly-dally," I said then, lift them with my manner and apparated with them to the treehouse in the process of waking up dear old Daniel. "Ha! What? Who are those people?" he said, looking at the floating family. "That none of your business now, shut up," I said to him with an angry face with my finger pointed at him, making him start shaking, but no sound comes out of him. After making sure Daniel won't make a peep, I start stripping the Hubert family and most importantly, I take their wands and break each of them, then I tie each of them separately with the leftover rope. When that's finished, I apparated to multiple Muggle antique shops to find and take a knife which can be used in a ceremony which I find after a few attempts. Then I apparated to a arts and crafts store and get some chalk and finally apparated back to the 3 houses. I then transfigured the ground into cement, then used my mana to draw the pentagram I need for the ritual. That took a few minutes because of how huge it was, but it did give time for the Hubert family to wake up. "Ugh, where am I?" Robert said, waking up. "Mommy, what happened?" Tracy said. "Daddy, what's going to happen to us?" Nancy said. "Hush, girls, and let your father think," Margaret said. Where are we?" "What's going on?" Robert said when he saw Daniel. "Shush, you're going to get me in trouble," Daniel said with fear. "And who in the blazes are you talking about?" Robert said, looking around. "Daddy, look, there's Popsy," Tracy said, seeing me. "Yeah, there he is. Maybe he knows what's going on," Nancy said. "Do you girls do not remember Popsy did something to us, he being controlled by whoever wizard doing this?" Margaret said. "All right, whoever is behind this, show yourself," Robert yelled. "He right there, can't you see?" Daniel said in fear. "What are you talking about? That just the elve? Have you gone mad?" Margaret said. "No, he is quite sane, and what he said is true. I am behind all of this," I said finally, after finishing what I was writing on the concrete and turning to them. "You expect me to believe a lowly elve is behind all this? Ha-ha," he said then, started laughing, which made the rest of the family laugh as well, except for Daniel, who was shaking. "Nice try, but who would fall for such a trick? Now show yourself," Robert said. "Sigh, what was I supposed to expect? I guess the only way to get respect is to earn it," I said, then pointed my fingers at Margaret and Robert, firing crucios at them. I did this like I did Daniel. I didn't stop until the girls started crying and begging. "Now, do you believe me? I am the one who kidnapped you," I said with an annoyed face. After breathing for a little bit, Robert answered, "Yes, but why are you doing this after we took your family in and gave you shelter?" he said, in between breaths. "Took me in and gave me shelter?" I said, and started laughing. "You kidding, right? Took us in? Do you mean when you enslaved us and forced my kind to become slave butlers? And what do you mean? Shelter you call a glorified foghouse? Shelter?" I yelled at them, shocking them. "You know, I was feeling a little bad about this, but that's gone now. But anyways, we should start now," I said, and started walking towards the girls. I untied Nancy first, and as soon as that happened, she started running, but I grabbed her with my mana and bring her back to me, making her cry once again. I next untied Tracy next, but she did not move, for she was crippled by fear, so I had to grab her too. With the girls floating by me, I entered the middle of the pentagram and set the girls opposite to each other and stripped, showing my weird-looking body of a ripped house elf, which just doesn't look right. Before I start the ritual, I need first get over the hard part. I forgot to mention the sacrifice needs to give the power of their own free will. As hard and impossible that might sound, fear not, for I have magic, more specifically the spell Confundus, which is a better version, honestly, of the Imperia's curse, because it makes the affected think they're during it of their own free will. I turn to the girls, who are naked, making me feel weird, but I put that behind me and hit them both with a Confundus, making them stop crying and fidgeting. I then input that they're doing this out of their free will and that they are loyal to me, also put the steps that they need to do for the ritual. After that's done, I put Robert and Margaret, who have been yelling, to sleep. Then I look at Daniel and put him to sleep. "Let's start them, girls," I said then, laying down in the middle of the pentagram and starting the ritual. After saying the words and injecting my mana into the circle, it started to glow red, so I go on to the next part. I signal the girls by giving them the ceremonial knife. What was ours we now give to him out of free will, knowing it can never come back. They both said. Then Tracy stabs her heart and drops to the ground, and Nancy does the same. And finally, I grab the bloodstained knife with my mana and hover it over my own heart. "No pain, no gain," I said then, stabbing myself in the heart, causing the pentagram to turn crimson and making me pass out, but not before seeing blood come out of the twins' heart and slowly coming into mine's. I am once again in darkness, lit by a blue flame which seems to be my soul, but there is a difference from before. Theirs, two more flames, are not as strong and vibrant as mine, but they're coming closer and closer to mine's. And the touch and start merging with mine's. I feel it power something I haven't felt since I was born. My mana is filled, but it keeps increasing and forcing itself to different parts of my body. This keeps going, and soon enough it has nowhere to go, and my body is starting to hurt. So I decided I'd take charge of my mist-like mana and compress every single part of it, no matter how small. I soon turn into a ball of mist, and it doesn't seem like it's going to compress anymore, but I keep compressing it until a single drop of blue liquid drops out of it, and it's my body. As soon as it touches me, my whole body feels like it got electrified, and I felt a pleasure I never thought I could feel. It keeps happening over and over again, drops from droplets to tiny a puddle, rushing to every part of my body, giving me pleasure wherever it passed. Eventually it passes and starts getting slower till it stops, and every part of my mana has become liquid. As soon as that happens, I fall asleep and have the best sleep I've ever had since I was born. When I woke up, I look around and it was night, and Daniel, Robert, and Margaret were still sleeping. The twins' body lay by my feet, lifeless. I transfigure the dirt into the mirror and look at myself to see if any change. There was not that much change for my body, except I'm a fully grown elf now, and my body is leaner than ripped. The only difference is my mana. I put my hand up and imagine fire, and poof, it's a bright yellow ball of heat. But it's different from my regular flame. I've done this one is stronger, more powerful. Not only that, I barely felt my mana declining at all. The capacity has grown farther, but it still has a limit set by this body. I need to find a way to change my body to reach my true limit. I thought then, look at Daniel, Robert, and Margaret. What should we do with you? I've been meaning to get some lab rats for my ligaments training. They should help, especially since they have Ucklumans, shield. And as for Daniel, I'll keep around. Never know when you might need a wizard in my condition. As for them, I thought as I looked at the dead girl's body. Burn, I said, walking out the pentagram, making their bodies start burning. I walk up to Robert first and kick him, making him wake up and see the burning bodies of the twins, making him start crying again. Do your worst, he said, and looked at me while crying. Was planning on it, I said, and waved my hand, making his head stand straight and look me in the eyes. Ligaments, I said, and looked him into his eyes. As soon as I said that, my mana moved from my eyes to his eye and entered his mental space, which was the house, except it had a force field around it. There was also guards of different creatures, including a dragon. You killed my daughters, and for that I will make you suffer, Robert said as he appeared on top of the house. You shouldn't have come in here, puny elf, now die, he shouted at me, making monsters come out the force field running at me. Child play, I said, and then used my mana to create multiple Chuckies in different sizes. My Chucky army starts fighting the monster army and they take them down with ease, but they are blocked by the force field. Break, I said, breaking his so-called force field, making my Chucky swarm the house. Let's enjoy the show, I said, then made a chair for me to sit on. Tell me, have you ever seen a dragon be defeated by an army of toy Chucks? Well, I officially have, and I got to say it is an awesome thing to see. After my Chucky army killed the dragon, they went for poor Robert, who put up a good fight. But unfortunately, numbers win when you don't have any power. Game, set, match, I said, arriving in front of Robert being held down by multiple Chucks. Now let's get what I came here for, I said, and then made a few robots. Go and collect every and any information from his memories, I said, making them start. Now we wait, I said. They made a chair and sit down and ignored Robert, who was still trying to get out of the Chucky pile. After a few minutes, my robots come back and transform into hard drives, which merge and land in my hand. Good, now that's finished. I need to see something, I said, making my Chucky army disappear and apparating outside in the sky. Almighty push, I said, destroying the house and landscape near me. Not enough, all right then, let's do this, I said, and then making multiple Zarbombs appear and start dropping. But before they hit the ground, I exit out of Roberts's mind. After exiting his mind, I can see the effect of my work. The proud wizard Robert has become a mindless fool, so not that much progress. After that, I went up to Margaret and did about the same thing I did to Robert, but before I destroyed her mind, I played around with her memories and learned how to create fake ones, then finally destroyed her mind. Finally, dear old Daniel the First just did the same as before, but after I destroyed his mind, I changed it and made loyal to yours truly. It wasn't even that hard. He didn't even know our Clumans, and just like that, I have a pet wizard. With finished, I untied the mindless couple and just let them go who don't really move and fall because they can't walk. When I finished all of this, I apparated to the formerly Hubert's house, took anything I deemed valuable, and then burned to the ground. Now what to do with you, mother? I said, looking at my sleeping mother. I looked at my sleeping mother and could only think how poor she is to be born into this kind of life. It breaks my heart to see this, which is why I can justify putting her out of her misery. Just like putting down old Yeller, but way harder. But this must be done. I can't stop her suffering, and she is beyond help at this point, I said, still looking at her. Sigh. Let's get this over with, I said, then gently lifted my mother with my mana, making her float. With my mother floating by me, I started apparating to find a burial place for her, and after a few times, I finally found what I was looking for, a nice hill. After finding the hill, I got some wood and transfigured it into a nice coffin and put her inside. This is goodbye, Mother. Thought we might not have spoken to you still, where my mother doesn't worry your death won't be in vain. I will take revenge for our kind, I said, and then pointed my finger, cast the Avada Kedavra curse, making her body slump and lifeless. As I bury my mother, a tear slowly fell my face, marking her death. After burying her, I set up a nice headstone with her name on it and left. When I came back, the house was still burning, and Daniel was still waiting for me like the loyal fool he is with the valuables from the house. I grabbed the valuable with my mana and apparated with Daniel to an abandoned warehouse. After arriving, I told Daniel to start decorating around because now this is going to be my new secret base. When he was doing that, I went back to my treehouse where Hubert's couple was still nearby, and I collected each book I duplicated and finally dismantled the treehouse, leaving no trace of it, and went back to the warehouse. Now I can start thinking about the next part of my plan. Where am I going to find info on how I need to evolve? Unfortunately, I already know the answer to that. A place I never wanted to go, a cursed place where the darkest wizard stays, the place that says to be the best school in the wizarding world, Hogwarts. As much as I don't want to touch that place with a 10-foot pole, especially when Dark Lord Dumbledore, too many names stay there, but unfortunately, Hogwarts has about the most information in the wizarding world. The key to my evolution must be theirs, which is why I hate what I am about to say. I need to become a Hogwarts house elf, I said, grinding my teeth. I escaped slavery just to chained again, and by myself too. Ugh, this annoying, but it must be done if I have any chance of hiding from Dumbledore. I need to take advantage of my situation. But not every part of this is bad news since it's 1971 and Hogwarts is about to start a new term. It means that Lily Evans, the Marauders, and little Snape are starting school this year, which will make hiding even more easier. Not only that, I could even mess with story plot, since just me existing has already changed the plot of this world. Not only that, I can actually see the creation of the Marauders map, and maybe I can make a better version of it. Oh, and there's also the fact that I can kill some of Voldemort's Horcruxes and weaken him, and when I'm powerful enough I can kill him. Good, now that my plan is all set, I just need to infiltrate Hogwarts, which shouldn't be hard enough, I said, then went to sleep on the place I had set up in the warehouse. After a nice slumber, I woke up to a fully furnished warehouse with Daniel sleeping in the far-off corner. "Daniel comes here," I said, making him wake up and run over to me and bow. I looked him in the eyes and activated ligaments. After I went into his mind, I gave him a piece of good information that he could need, and even reinforce his loyalty to me. I will be gone for some times and won't always be able to be here, and because of that, I will give you an important task, I said, making him excited. "I'm honored, sir," Daniel said with a smile on his face. "Good. The task you need to do is to collect as many house elves as you can, no matter how much they cost or how old they are. As long as you can collect them, do it. But make sure to not bring attention to yourself after you have collected them. Bring them back here and start feeding them and training them in basic literacy," I said, making Daniel nod his head. "It shall be done, sir," he said, still bowing. "Good, and if you need more money, just get the money from Muggles and convert it at Gringotts, but not too much at the same time," I said to him. "Yes, sir," he said. "You might be wondering what I'm going to do with all these elves. Well, the answer is I'm building my future army because, you see, when I figure out how to break the curse that is my body, is going to free my elven brother and sister while also becoming their king, and most importantly, I'm going to need an army for the war that will eventually come. Because if wizards are so stupid that they hate muggles and half-bloods, imagine what would happen when I revolt without an army. The answer is, well, I would be obliterated without a chance to fight, but with an army of magical creatures like elve, my victory is ensured. Now, Daniel, I'll be going to Hogwarts. Do not contact me, and when I return, I expect to see House Elf here." "Of course, sir," Daniel said. "Good," I said, and then apparated away with no sound. "Let me ask you an important question. How do you infiltrate the world's best wizarding school that houses thousands of wards?" The answer is just an elf. Believe it or not, elves can apparate in and out of Hogwarts while wizards cannot. About all wizard houses are like this. They don't have any anti-house elf apparating wards. I only wish that the goblins weren't as smart as the wizards, because that way I could just apparate into Gringotts and take as much gold as I need. But that just means I'll have to figure another way to get gold, which shouldn't be hard. After apparating for a while, I finally reached my destination and immediately covered myself with mana and turned invisible. After turning invisible, I started at the marvel of the castle. The movies really did not do it justice. It was truly beautiful, and it gave a feeling of magic, most likely an effect of being saturated with mana for so long. After staring at the castle long enough, I apparated inside, and I was hit with just one of the purest mana I've ever felt. But I was expecting this and centered myself. Fuck, no wonder that fucker always stays here. I can already feel myself getting stronger just by being here. Not only that, I can see one of the reasons wizards are dumb, as they are now being saturated with such energy every day without learning control of your emotions. First will make you do stupid stuff even more, since they started as children that are starting puberty soon. I said after centering myself. After taking a voluntary break to center me more so I don't do any accidents in the future. After doing that, I went to my destination, the house elf kitchen. I apparated there and saw a bunch of houses elf cooking and moving around, mostly preparing for the students that are coming tonight. Good in their hurry, they won't notice me slipping into their ranks, I thought, and then changed my rags, which I still wear to remind me of my curse, and changed them to look like the other elves. With Hogwarts crest after that, I slowly let my invisibility slip just enough for them to see me, ignore me as a face in a crowd. I then started working alongside them, not because I wanted to, but to give me an alibi in case I ever get caught. I kept working with the elves till eventually night came, and we stopped working, and I apparated into the grand hall and put my invisibility on full blast because Dumbledore is going to be here soon and I don't want to take any chances. I waited for a while until Dumbledore and the rest came. Most of the teachers that were in the movies were here, such as Professor Minerva McGonagall and Phileas Flitwick, the half-goblin. The rest I didn't really recognize and didn't even try to. After the teachers came, the older year students came in next, and finally Minerva got up and went out the front door, which I'm pretty sure she was getting the new students. She came back once more and put the sorting hat on a stool she transfigured and told everybody to be quiet, and then went out the doors once again. When she came back, their children followed her with starstruck eyes looking at the ceiling. In the group of children I spotted the 6 that I will be paying attention to throughout the year. The first was a redhead girl with forest green eyes that were staring at the ceiling one. Lily Evan, future mother of the chosen one. She looked very cute. I can see why Snape and James fell for her. Speaking of those boys, Snape was next to Lily, looking at her like the love-stricken fool he is. He had black hair and black eyes. He actually looked quite good, and could probably get a girlfriend if he wasn't in love with Lily. Then we have James, the future father of the chosen one. He had hazel hair with black eyes, but he was cute or handsome. I'm guessing he hasn't hit his growth spurt yet. Then we have Sirius Black. He had black hair and grey eyes, and I will not lie, he was handsome. Even as a kid, he also gave of that bad boy feeling. Next we have Remus Lupin. The resident werewolf had brown hair and green eyes. He looked like a pretty boy, but gave off a feeling of an introvert. And finally we have the coward Peter Pettigrew. He was the ugliest out of the 6 and the biggest. He had brown hair and brown eyes. After I found all 6 of the children, Minerva started the sorting first by waking it up, having it do its song, and then finally started sorting the children. I didn't really pay attention to that part because I knew how it went. All 5, except Snape, got into Gryffindor while Snape went to Slytherin. But there was a part that I liked, the part where Minerva called the Hubert twins for a while, which gave me a good laugh. When the sorting finished, the elf apparated food on the table and the children started eating. I took this time to test something. I slowly moved forward to Dumbledore to see if he could see me or not. And I got my answer, starting for the back of the grand hall. When I got close in front of the table, he stopped talking and looked in my direction. But I was expecting that, so I moved and apparated as soon as he moved. After finding out the limit of Dumbledore's radar, I went back to the kitchen and continued to help to strengthen my presence in the elves' minds, just in case. After doing that and cleaning, the rest of the house elves started going to sleep, which was of course a terrible place, and this time it was in the boiler room and many other terrible places to sleep. Soon I will free you all, I thought, and went to sleep. It's been about 2 weeks since I have infiltrated Hogwarts, and I can safely say that I have nothing to worry about being caught anymore, which means I can now finally get what I came here for: knowledge. After I wake up, instead of following the other elves as I would usually do, I instead turn invisible and head to the 7th floor of Hogwarts. It would probably be hard, but I explored the castle when I had free time, so I got there fast, even though I haven't found every secret passage, and plus I could have always apparated, but I wanted to enjoy the scenery of such an amazing place. After I arrived on the 7th floor, I found the painting of Barnabas the Barnaby teaching trolls ballet when I found that I did as the instructions say, and walked by it 3 times, thinking I need a library of all the books in Hogwarts. After walking there for the 3rd time, a door appeared, so I opened it and went inside to about the biggest collection of books that I have ever seen. Good, now I can learn everything I need to unrestricted. Now I just need a place to train, I said, and made the room change from a library to a training ground with practices dummies. So it's voice-activated. Neat, I said. This will help a lot. Now let's practice a little. I never really got any formal training, which is why I never fought anyone, and just used tricks, I said. Room, I need something to teach me how to fight with magic, I said, making the dummies disappear, and after a while, a golem-like dummy come out. They both look like normal practice dummies, but more study, and it had a wand on its hand. The dummy was in a circle, which I'm guessing is the way you would activate it. Okay, let's see if I'm right, I thought, and stepped into the circle, but the dummy didn't budge. So I got confused, but I didn't stay that way for long because the dummy blasted me out of nowhere. After falling on my butt, a book materialized next to me. The title was Dueling 101. Very funny, I said to the room. I got up and started reading the book, which was actually very informative for the most part, because you see, even though it showed me how to move the right way when dueling, the rest of the book was for wands, and I don't do wands. Well, at least it helped me with my movements. I just need to practice that, and then we can come back to the attack part, I said. I should probably learn dancing. It should help me in the long run when evading attacks. Well, we can start that tomorrow. For now, we study, I thought, making the room go back to the way it was before. Now why I came here for, I thought, and said, room, I need a way to evolve my body, making the room vibrate and make a pedestal with a book on it. I went to the book, which was titled Rebirth. I didn't stare at it for long and started reading it. What I found made me angry, disappointed, and most of all annoyed. The reason that this book is called Rebirth is that every single ritual that will help me get a better body requires a few things which only come from one creature, a phoenix. Phoenix, it just had to be that. If you don't know, phoenixes are rare, and the only person that the world knows has a phoenix is dear old Dumbledore. Fuck my life, I said, still staring at the book. Okay, now, let's calm down here. I don't need to steal the phoenix from him, I just need the ashes. It's fire and feather, like the book says. Now, it may be hard, but not impossible. I just need to get stronger and make a good enough distraction to stall Dumbledore, and find a way to block the phoenix from escaping me, I said, then sighed. Okay, now that's set. I just need a distraction, I said, and then started to think, who would be a good enough distraction to stall Dumbledore, I thought, and then it struck me, 4 teens that will become one of the greatest prankers in Hogwarts history, the Marauders. That can work, but the Marauders aren't formed yet, so I might have to speed the process up. And as for the distraction, I can think of surprise to many to use, I thought, and said, this school is really too dangerous, but this time it helps me. After I figured out my plan, I continued to study the book for the rest of the afternoon and stopped when it was evening and went something to eat. I apparated to the kitchen with my invisible still and grabbed a few plates of food, which turned invisible when I took them. After that, I apparated in the Great Hall as far away from the teacher's table and started watching the main characters. James and Sirius were already friends, so that's good, but Lupin and Pettigrew don't know them, so I need to fix that soon. Then we have the little ball of sunshine Lily already talking to her new friends that she made already. And finally, we have little Snape staring Lily across the room. I always felt sad for Snape. No matter how much he loved Lily, their relationship ended because of the house they were in, and a few silly words. Maybe I could try to help either get him together with Lily or get him to move on to a new girl. After I ate and watched the children, I went to sleep, but this time not where the other elves slept. No, I went back to the room of requirements and changed it into a bedroom. I went to bed and started falling asleep. Tomorrow, I need to explore the room of hidden things to find Voldemort's Horcruxes. I may not have a way to destroy it, but I will very soon, I thought, and went to sleep. After having a great night of sleep, I awakened in the room of requirement, and then I went to the kitchen to get something to eat. After eating, I returned to the 7th floor, and this time I asked to be taken to the room of hidden things instead of where I was before. After a door materialized, I went inside to see mountains of different types of junk and various types of objects. Wow, that's a lot of stuff. How am I going to find this diadem, I said, and then started thinking, maybe I can try to use Accio, but it wouldn't be that easy, right? Only one way to try, I thought, and then lifted my finger. Accio Rowena's Ravenclaw diadem, I said, making the previously soundless room full of noise. After the room started getting noisy, the diadem came rushing to me, and before I could even stop it, I did a stupid thing and touched. As soon as the diadem touched my hand, my mental shields were attacked for the very first time, and I got to say it was impressive. It showed me just how on a different level that Voldemort was in. But even if he is, so am I, although he was able to kill some of my animals, as soon as I brought all of them together, was able to push back the soul fragment into the diadem, and dropped it. Okay, so no touching that ever again, I said, and picked the diadem with my mana, lifting it, making it start floating around me. Before I leave, I need something, I said, and then took a silver goblet, which I saw, and then left the room of hidden things. Hopefully this will work, otherwise I might just destroy the diadem. I thought after I exited out of the washroom and started walking around it 3 times while thinking a way to transfer souls. After the 3rd time the door appeared, and I went inside to an empty room with what I'm pretty sure is a ritual circle with a book on a pedestal nearby. I smiled and went up to the book, which was titled A How-To Guide on Souls. After reading the book for a while, I had a pretty good idea on how to transfer the soul from the diadem to the silver goblet, so I got to work. I first put the diadem and the goblet in the circle and take a break to restore my mana just in case something bad would happen. After I finished resting, I started the ritual, which was just basically infusing your mana carefully inside said object and then transferring it to another. Now, this might sound easy, but you need a certain level of mana control to pull it off. Not only that, but you also need good quality mana, so the soul inside the item doesn't beat you when it starts fighting back. That's about the only hard part of the ritual. As soon as I take out the soul, the circle will put up protection to not let the soul escape or get back inside the previous item, leaving it with a choice of either getting inside the nearest object or dying. When I finally got inside the diadem with my mana and surrounded Voldemort's soul, I started carefully and slowly pulling him out. But of course, he starts fighting back, and I could do nothing but persist for what I felt was about the longest 10 minutes of my life. And with a pop, Voldemort's soul came out, making a barrier come to life surrounding the circle, with a mini one surrounding the diadem. The soul, who looked like a dark mist, tried to get into the diadem again, but when it saw that wasn't working, he saw the goblet and hurried inside it with no hesitation. After Voldemort's soul went inside the goblet, the ritual stopped and everything went back to normal, making Drop and start breathing heavily. Damn, my mana capacity is still small and growing. I need to find a way to speed this up later. Right now I need a break that took a lot out of me, I said in between breaths. After a much-needed rest, I went to claim my prize, Rowena's Ravenclaw's diadem, that should make you smarter. I touched it and felt nothing, so I put it on my head, and immediately everything just clicks, like all the puzzles that have been eluding to me became a child's game. Wow, this thing is a bona fide legendary item, but it seems like it has a major defect. I can feel the way it changing my brain chemistry, which is a regular person or even a wizard used this for a while. They would probably die from their brain pushed to its limit, but it doesn't seem to have an effect on my brain because of the way I have been refining it since I was a fetus. Although this is good news because now I'm pretty sure I am the smartest, or one of the smartest people in this world, but theirs is one little defect that I don't agree with. The fact that it's a diadem, I mean, I'm a guy, for God's sake. I don't want to wear this. How about I just transfigured it into a different object? It should work, because it's just changing the shape of the item, not the overall meaning of it. I thought with my new intelligence, which was already showing benefits. After thinking of that, I took of the diadem and transfigured it into a ring that had a Revan symbol on it and a blue gemstone. I immediately put on my new ring just to find out it works just as well as it should.
Good. Now, with my newly acquired genius, it should be that hard to come up with a plan to get the hardest ingredients. Just wait for me, folks. I am coming for you, I thought, and went about my day.
I woke up once again and started using my new intelligence to study. After studying for the rest of the morning, I got something to eat and started enacting my plan to speed up the marauders forming. Now, this might seem hard, but trust me when I say this, it's so easy that I barely need to do anything. For you see, in Hogwarts, students are divided into 4 houses, and these houses will fight with each other for the littlest things. Especially Gryffindor and Slytherin. Those 2 houses hate each other, to such a level that I only need to do something very simple to make them feud. And in this instance, I will play on Gryffindor's need to be heroes to unite the marauders. With that plan set, I started watching my pawns, Pettigrew and Lupin. These 2 were going to be the victims, and James and Sirius were going to be the heroes. Now, just need to choose the villains, I said, then started looking for some Slytherin upper years. I looked around, and I did find some good candidates to play my villains, but only one stuck out from the rest. A young Lucius Malfoy. He just about looked like a young Draco with a few differences to set them apart. After I found my villains, I started setting up the set, which wasn't that hard. I just need to find a place where people could fight without anyone knowing. That part was easy, considering it was a huge castle. The next part involved me making the perfect timing so the victims and the villain would be together. That opportunity came when Lupin and Pettigrew were in the same class, which had just ended. So I carefully went into Pettigrew's mind while invisible and whispered that he should talk to Lupin and be friends with him. It works well enough, and Pettigrew started talking while walking with Lupin. While they were walking, I started forcing Lucius and his henchmen to them, while also putting James and Sirius behind them. The plan worked just fine, and soon Lupin and Pettigrew walked by Lucius. So at that time I went up to Lucius, whispered into his ear. No wonder he's in Slytherin, his hair is as slimy as the rest of those snakes. I whispered in Lupin's voice and did a weak tickling charm on Pettigrew, which made him chuckle. What did you say? Lucius turned around and yelled at them, causing them to jump. What? They said together. Don't lie. I heard what you said, he said, this time taking his wand out. What are you talking about? Pettigrew said. What happening? Said one of the henchmen. They called me a slimy snake, Lucius said. Oh, did they? The henchman said, and took out his wand. Maybe we should teach them a lesson, another henchman said. Yes, let's teach them what happens when they disrespect their betters, Lucius said, and blasted Pettigrew. At this point, Lupin took out his wand and started trying to fight back, but was losing in sheer number until James and Sirius just happened to arrive there to help them in a stroke of luck. Because of their help, Lupin and Pettigrew were able to escape. Well, that went nicely. The Potters and Malfoys hate each other, so when Lupin and Pettigrew explain what happened, he'll obviously believe them. Now I just need to flame the fans of friendship that they are developing. And that's what I did. I created a few more encounters between them and made sure that the marauders won most of the time, and within a week of doing this, the 4 were best friends. Wow, that was easy. But what do you expect? These wizards made a school where you divided children based on characteristics. It was bound to create segregation in their society, I said, looking at the newly formed marauders eating and talking. Maybe that what they wanted to separate them all, so they always know who the bad guys were. I mean, you never heard of a Dark Lord that came from Gryffindor, I said. What's even sadder is nobody ever gets smart even to see this, even the muggles, they just accept it. How sad, I said, and then apparated out of the grand hall. Now that I will have my distraction, I need to prepare a plan for it, I said, appearing in a muggle university. And because of that, I need information, more specifically muggle science. I thought, and then went my way to find some scientist. After finding some science test, I made him fall asleep, then went into his mind and copied all information from the field he worked on. I did this multiple times, and by evening I can proudly say I am the smartest elf in the world. If you're wondering why I don't do this with wizards, it's because most wizards don't study, and because when wizards learn about magic, their views will change on how magic worked, which means if I extract information from them, I won't be able to form my own views on magic, and I might even start developing multiple personalities because those views are aspects of the wizards. The only reason I don't have to worry about this from muggles is that when they learn about science, their views change, but the information remains information and won't infect me with their personality. Now, for the distraction, he'll just simply start a war with Gryffindor and Slytherin, which will evaluate by fumigating a potion that makes people angry at a Quidditch match. That should give me all the time in the world, I said, sitting in the rob room. As for the phoenix, I can either try to see if Dumbledore has its previous ashes somewhere, or I kill it after I've gotten what I need. Speaking of that, I need to make something to keep the phoenix fire in, I said. Good, with that done. Let's start the plan, I said, standing up and apparating away. I apparated into Diagon Alley and started getting the ingredients to make the potion. It was easy enough, and I had money from the Room of Hidden Things. After getting the ingredients, I began practicing making the potion. Because it was my first time doing this, it didn't take long for me to become a master at potions, considering my intelligence and the memories I got from a chemistry professor. Within a few hours, I was able to create an odorless and colorless potion that would only affect a certain age range. Once I had finished the potion, I made a few more potions that I would probably need and started making Gryffindor and Slytherin hate each other more than usual. It wasn't that hard, honestly. They had years of hate for me to work on, and I just needed to give a push in the right direction. That included making some of the 7th years fight against each other, then the 1st years, and soon. And finally, I used racism to get the half-bloods, Muggle-born and purebloods, to fight against each other. It wasn't long that both sides went into war with each other, but the teachers were acting as buffers, slowly trying to settle the heat from both sides. It worked for now, although they weren't fighting anymore. You can still see the hate in their eyes. Like all the hate and anger has reached the limit, so now all it's going to take is one single thing to have a full-blown war. Good, now that all the pawns are all set tomorrow, I can have what I need, I said, and went to sleep. I woke up at 6 and started preparing. First, I moved all the machines that would pump the potion into the air under the bleachers and made them invisible. Then I went to bowls and took control of the mechanism. Then finally, I made a few inconveniences for both sides, which could be blamed on anyone, but they obviously blamed it on each other. After doing all that, I apparated under the bleacher and waited for the game to start. After waiting an hour or so, everybody had come to the first Quidditch game of the year, and of course it was Gryffindor versus Slytherin. After waiting for a while, I activated the machines and apparated away from here. When I was far enough, I used some binoculars to create some subtle fouls for Gryffindor, which made them made Slytherin happy, and mock them. I did this 2 more times until I made the ball that a Slytherin player hit a Gryffindor had enough for him to fall to the ground. When that happened, both teams got on the ground and started arguing. It wasn't long before the Gryffindor leader threw the first punch, and a fight spread out which soon affected the crowds, and soon the field turned into a light show with different colors coming from each side. Too easy, I said, and started heading towards Dumbledore's office. After arriving in front of the office, I said the phrase to open it. Pop rocks, I said, making the gargoyle move out the way. After the door opened, I put on a gas mask and turned inviolable, then went inside. When I went inside, I looked at the phoenix to see it was looking at the entrances where I was coming from, so I took out a modified smoke grenade and threw it in the room. Fawkes looked at it, trying to see if it was dangerous or not, and after seeing it was doing nothing but letting air out, it ignored it and kept staring at the entrance. because he kept starting it made come out still inviolable, which he could see considering he tried to fly and flame travel out of the room. But when he jumped, he just fell and slowly fell asleep. As soon as he fell asleep, I went up to him and took the longest feather he had, and then I started looking around for the ashes. I kept looking and looking, but the old wizard hid it well enough that I couldn't find a trace. "Looks like you have to die, sorry about this," I said, then went to Fawkes. "Before that, though I need some of your to fire, so burn for me," I said, and took out a lighter, then directed the fire onto Fawkes, making the fire transform into a golden flame. I then took the fire from him and created a ball around it with my mana. "Good, it's still burning, but it's using my mana as fuel because it can't get mana from the surroundings," I said, looking at the fire. "Sorry about this, buddy, but I'm pretty sure Dumbledore won't help me," I said, looking at Fawkes and then bringing him to a bowl. "Avada Kedavra," I casted, pointing my fingers at Fawkes. When my spiel hit Fawkes, instead of him dropping dead, he burst into flames and then turned to ashes, which I started collecting with my magic. After I finished collecting the ashes, it revealed a baby Fawkes looking at me, but I didn't look at him, and sprinted to the entrance and apparated into the room because I know that Dumbledore will know that Fawkes has died. "Ha ha, yes, one step closer to evolution," I said, celebrating my victory. I then asked the room to make a place that I can put all my ingredients, which it happily agreed, and then I went to the field and quickly took my gas pumping machines, making sure not to leave a trace, which wasn't hard considering the destruction that had happened around the field. After all of that, I watched how Dumbledore came back with a baby Fawkes in his hand and calmed down the crowd with what I would assume is a calming and sleeping spiel mixed. With all that finished, I went into the raw room to plan what I would do next. I arrived at the teachers' meeting room with Fawkes in my hand. The rest of the professors were arguing over whose fault it was that the fight started. "Your Gryffindor is the one who threw the first punch," Horace said, looking at Minerva. "That might be true, but your Slytherin were the ones who continued," Minerva defended. I sat down in the head chair, which made everyone turn to me. "Dumbledore, who are we holding responsibility for this? Obviously it's the Gryffindors," Horace said, looking at me. "You certainly will not blame my cubs," Minerva countered Horace. After she said that she and Horace started arguing, which brought almost the rest of the faculty with them, each choosing a side. "Silence," I yelled, making everyone stop talking and stare at me. "Before we talk about who's responsible, Miss Pomfrey has something to say," I said, and moved my head to Madame Pomfrey. After the fight, I noticed something strange was up with the students. They were still angry. At first I thought it was because of the earlier fight, but after they kept getting angry for the little things that were when I decided to do a deeper search. To find out the reason, she said. "What did you find, Poppy?" I said, looking at her. "When I did a check-up search on each of them, I found out that every one of the students has been dosed with a potion, which I'm guessing made them act this way," she said. "So, what does that mean?" Horace said. "It means someone dosed the entire school so they could fight," Minerva said. "But why would anyone do that?" Horace said. "It was a distraction," I said, making them turn to me. "What do you mean, Dumbledore?" Minerva said. "What I mean is this," I said, and took out baby Fawkes, making them look confused. "When the riot fight was happening, I sensed Fawkes dying, and I rushed there to see what's wrong, and I found Fawkes here newly reborn." "So wasn't it just his time?" Horace said, looking at Fawkes. "No, it wasn't his time, and this wasn't a natural death, from what I can gather from my bond with Fawkes. Someone came into my office and killed Fawkes with the Avada Kedavra," I said, causing the teachers to look shocked. "So that would mean that whoever did this was using the fight as a distraction to kill Fawkes," Minerva said. "But all this to kill Fawkes, and he didn't even succeeded," Horace said. "He didn't just kill Fawkes, he also took one of his feathers and the ashes," I said, now petting Fawkes. "So he did all of that for ingredients," Horace said. "It would seem so," I said. "Even if he did that for ingredients, he still managed to sneak into Hogwarts, dose our students, and break into your office. What exactly are we going to do about this, Albus?" Minerva said to me, "Do not worry, Minerva. I've already called the usse. They should be here soon," I said. "And what about the students? Are we going to punish?" Minerva said. We shall tell what has occurred, and we cannot blame the students. They were dosed, I said. Horace, can you help Poppy come up with an antidote for the students? I said to Horace. Yes, of course, Horace said. Minerva, please come with me to meet up the Auroras. We need to do everything to find this person, I said to Minerva, and stand up, then started walking, causing her to follow me. As we're walking, Minerva turns to me. Is it him? Minerva said to me. I thought at first, but no, I checked. I said to Minerva, maybe he sent someone. Minerva said to me. Yes, I also came to that though, but even then, there was no way someone could sneak into my office or the school without me knowing. After all, you can't apparate in the school, I said, and though at least without my permission. So, who is it then? Minerva said. I don't know, Minerva. I don't know, I said, and continued walking. Popsipover. After arriving at the Rorum and waiting for a while, I continued reading Rebirth to see what comes next, and what I got was that I can do a kind die on the new body that I'm going to get. What that means when I'm doing the ritual, I can use different parts to strengthen or change my body, such as the heart of a dragon for mana capacity or Vela hair for beauty. If I'm going to get a new body, why not make it the most powerful that I can, I said. So now, let's see, for I need a dragon's heart for their mana capacity, then the skin of dragon for protection, next is Vela hair for beauty, and finally something I don't know what, but I need something like an ingredient that I'm missing is calling to me, I said. For now, I just need to relax and lay low to get the heat off of me, I said. Since I'm laying low, I need to study my new prey, the strongest dragon in this world, a Hungarian horntail, I said, then started reading every book that I could find. After reading everything that I could about the Hungarian horntail, I started planning how to get into the dragon enclosure in Romania, I said, and started thinking, it shouldn't be hard to get into the enclosure now. All I need to figure out is a way to kidnap a full-grown dragon and then kill it, I said. All right, and as for the Vela hair, I need to get some hair sample then, refine it till it gets to the level that I need, or find a full Vela, and finally, for that ingredient that keeps calling me, if I can't find it, then I'll just do the ritual without it. I mean, it can't be that important, I said. It can't be that important, right? Or right after the heat's gone down, I'll start going to Romania, I said, and continued reading. After waiting for 2 days, I finally had time to apparate to Romania, and I did it without waiting for a second. It took a few times for me to apparate there, and I even had to go into a wizard's mind to see the location of the habitat. I soon arrived on a hill where I could see the habitat. The first thing that I did was to watch and learn the schedule. I kept doing that, but I got bored fast, so I decided to do it the smart way. So I waited until night, found wizard that was alone, then hit him with the old sleeping spell, read his mind to find out everything that I needed to know. After figuring out the whole system, I came up with a plan to just put everyone to sleep, the same way that I did at the Quidditch match. I apparated back into Hogwarts and got my machines, then mass-produced sleeping potions, and finally apparated back to Romania. Fuck me, that took forever, I said, then waited till it was night. I first put on my gas mask and turned on the machines, and after a few minutes, the animals and people that were up against me had fallen asleep. You may be a wizard, but you're still human, and that means I can put you to sleep without using magic, I said, walking to the barns. When I arrived, the dragons had already fallen asleep, so I started looking for my prey, which I found in seconds after I had found the Hungarian horntail, which just looked like a western brown dragon, but with a lot of horns from its head going to the spine to its tail. I lived it with my mana and apparated far away into the woods. Phew, that took a lot out of me, I said after I took my mask off and started resting. After resting, I apparated into the habitat and took my machines and came back. Now to take my prize, I said, and pointed my finger at the dragon. I first concentrated and tough of my most hated memories to use as fuel, and then fired my curse, Avada Kedavra, I said, and let out the most powerful curse I've done since birth. The curse hit the dragon and woke it up in an instant. At first I thought it didn't work and I had to try again, but the dragon soon dropped dead in front of me. Okay, now for what I came here for, I said, and then started cutting the dragon's hide. After cutting the hide, which took forever, I found the heart, which was still warm. Took it out. Wait. Those finished, I warped the hide and heart with mana to preserve it, and then started apparating to Hogwarts. After getting to Hogwarts, I went to the rod room and put the hide and heart somewhere the room showed that it would preserve it. Now for Vella's hair. But first, sleep. I've used too much mana and I need to recover, I said, then went to sleep on a bed in the rod room. When I woke up, it was morning and mana was full, so I ate some food and started apparating to France. After arriving in France, I just read multiple wizards' minds to find where the Delacour family lived. After finding that out, I went there, stalked the place, and waited until it was a night. After it was night, I apparated inside, making sure not to make any noise, then put on my gas mask, then took out a sleeping grenade and activated it. After that was done, I waited for 10 minutes and head for the master bedroom, but before I do that, I turned on my shield to the max. After all, this is a full Vela which I found after going through the wizard's mind. All right, let's do this, I thought, and opened the door. I then went inside towards the woman figure under the bed sheets. As soon as I saw her face, my shield was brutally attacked, so much so that I started feeling something I haven't felt since being born. I was horny. Focus doesn't think with your dick, I thought to myself, and started looking at her hair instead of her face. I took out scissors and started cutting all of her hair off, and when it got short, I would feed her some hair growth potions. After doing these 2 more times, I left the house with a bag of Vella's hair and all of the evidence, leaving a bald woman, and started finally apparating to Hogwarts. I arrived at Hogwarts and went to the rod room and put the Vella hair somewhere. Finally, I'm done, I said, and went to sleep. As I was sleeping, and I appeared in one of the most beautiful places that I've ever seen. There are animals and plants that I had never seen in any of the books in Hogwarts. As I kept walking, I felt a pull, so I went where the pulling force was. I soon arrived by a hill, and on that hill was about the biggest tree that I've saw. The pulling felling was coming from it, so I walked the hill and went to the tree. As I got closer to it, I heard a faint like pulse come from the tree. When I got close enough to touch it, I out my head against it and just kept hearing that pulse from it. As I was hearing the pulse, I felt as if my soul was slowly drifting into the tree, but the deeper I went into the tree, the less I was losing myself. I tried to use occlumency, but it didn't work and I started losing myself. After all of that, this is the way I die, I thought, but suddenly a green mana that was in the form of a woman appeared and grabbed me. "You're not strong enough yet, but you will be," she said, and kissed my head, and I was sent out the tree, causing me to wake up. When I woke up, I looked around to see a piece of wood in my hand. It pulsed just like the tree. "I'm guessing you the missing ingredient," I said to the piece of rock, causing it pulse. I kept staring at the wood for a few minutes, feeling the warm feeling it was giving off, not to mention the heart-like beat, but after a while I finally put it down. "Okay, every ingredient is here. I can start the ritual any time," I said. "The best place to do this is here because of the abundance of mana, but with that come to a problem. Dumbledore will 100% sense me if I do the ritual," I said, thinking. I can just do another distraction, but can't do the same one again. So what should I do? Got it. The best way I can think is to use monsters, more specifically a monster wave. I said, "I just need to make a potion to attract different monsters, which should honestly give me enough time to finish the ritual," I said, smiling. "Even so, I still will need some bodyguards for the room just in case, so I guess I'll need to brainwash some trolls and some other animals. Okay, let's do that then. After all that, I can finally fucking get a better body than this," I said with a little anger in my voice. After saying that, I put the wood somewhere safe in the rune room and apparated into the Forbidden Forest. After apparating into the Forbidden Forest, I first went invisible and started collecting different monster samples, like a female's acromantola chemical that makes the males want to mate with her and so on. After doing that, I went to find the trolls that I was going to use to guard the raw room, doing the ritual trolls. It wasn't that hard to find the second dumbest creature other than wizards, as they were just wandering in the mountains in a community. Let me tell you something, don't ever try to go into a troll's mind, because you will find out it's a puzzle that has no beginning or end, and is not a puzzle at the same time. If you're wondering what that hell I'm talking about, It means trolls are so dumb that even when I tried to use legerdemains and change their minds, they forget it because they're so dumb. So I decided to let them loose in the castle when I start the beast wave. Okay, I've got monsters. It should be fine, but I can always go for overkill, I said with a dark smile. I teleported back to the raw room and made it turn into a potion room. Then I got to work on making the said potion. It wasn't hard to mix all those different genetic materials with my intellect, and by noon after hour at work, I finally finished the beast-attracting potion. Without wasting time, I went to the top of Hogwarts secretly and put my air machines on different parts of the roof. Now for the overkill, I said, then apparated away. I appeared in the Slytherin's dorm, more specifically, Lucius Malfoy's room. The reason that I'm here is to give a little note on the 4 people that have been giving him trouble as of now. Yes, I am talking about the Marauders. Ever since I used him to start their friendship, a war has been going between them, and I'm about to give Lucius an atom bomb. I put the letter on his bed and apparated away. I once again arrived in my favorite place, the raw room, and I started training, blasting dummies and getting better at fighting like a wizard. After doing that till night, I went into the kitchen, got some food, and went to sleep. But with so much excitement in me, I can't sleep until I put a sleeping spell on myself. When I woke up, the first thing that I did was to prepare the room for the ritual, then went into the great hall invisibly, where students were coming into. After a while, the Marauders came in, and then finally Lucius came in with the biggest smirk I've seen with his henchmen. He went to where the Marauders were sitting as soon as he saw them, and went up to Lupin. I didn't know that Hogwarts has fallen so far that it would let a monster in here, he said, looking at Lupin, who looked scared. What are you talking about, Malfoy? James said. I'm talking about your best friend here being a werewolf, he said, shocking Lupin and making the Marauders laugh. You shouldn't joke about my best mate being a monster, James said. Yeah, Sirius retorted. It was at this point some auroras came in. What the meaning of this, Dumbledore said, looking at them. We come here to investigate a possible werewolf, one of them said. And what proof do you have? Dumbledore said. Sir Malfoy has given enough proof for us to do so, they said, and started moving toward Lupin. It was at this time that I teleported to the roof and started the machines, then, without wasting time, apparat to where I saw the trolls last time, and grab as much as I can with my mana and apparat them into different places across the castles. After that finished, I finally returned to the raw room. The monster wave should start soon, plus it won't take that long before the trolls are discovered, and not but least their chances of the students starting fighting to protect Lupin, because they will think that it will be Slytherin trying to get one of them so naturally. They say it's Slytherin's fault, and Slytherin will do a snotty comeback. And eventually the aftermath of the previous war might start another one. If not, then it will be a good distraction for the trolls, I said. As I am saying that, the room transformed into a room with all of the ingredients and a giant ritual circle in the middle of it all. I stripped naked and went in the middle of the circle, then I used my mana to bring the ingredients into the circle, and finally I started my evolution. After bringing everything into the circle, I inserted my mana into the circle, making it come to life with a blue light. As soon it did that, the ingredients moved to different parts of the circle, and the only thing that was left was the wood, the phoenix fire, and the ashes. As I was about to start chanting, the wood started moving. It went to the dragon's heart and started fusing with it. I thought about stopping it, but something was telling me that I need to let it do this. After the heart finished fusing, it started glowing brighter and beating faster. This happened with the dragon's hide and phoenix feather, each time getting brighter and beating stronger, till eventually it came back to me. As I look at wood, which was now not glowing green but a rainbowish color and beating like a full-grown heart, I steeled myself and continued with the most painful part of the ritual. You see, to get a new body, I first need to do something to the old body, and by that I mean destroy it. And the only way to survive something like that is to borrow the power of the phoenix. So I looked at the bright golden flame and brought it toward me with my mana, and then set it on my body and let it burn. Ah! I screamed, feeling the fire burning me. Let me tell you something, being burned alive is not a fun thing, especially by phoenix fire. It felt as if ants were slowly crawling on and inside my body, eating my nerves slowly but painfully. As much as I wanted to pass out, I persevered through the pain. I don't know how long it lasted, but eventually there was no more pain, no more anything actually. I felt as if I was going into the void again until I felt I was sucked into something and started hearing a heartbeat, which made me fall asleep. Third Poe. In the raw room inside the ritual circle, a piece of wood floating on top of ashes. The wood started compressing until it was the size of a seed, and then it fell into the ashes. At that moment, the circle that was glowing blue surged up and started glowing a rainbow color, and the raw room started pulling a massive amount of mana in the ritual circle. As the room did that inside the ashes, the seed bloomed and sprouted from a seedling to a sapling. But the sapling didn't stop there and kept growing at a visible rate.
Dumbledore Pulver.
A few minutes earlier, today started very nicely. The two houses were not fighting at this time anymore, although I couldn't find the perpetrator. It won't matter now anyway. I've tightened the wards so that no wizard will be able to come into the castle without me knowing it. Today I decided to have breakfast in the Great Hall to see how my new pawns are faring. The marauders, they're calling themselves. How fun these new pawns are. Everything was going fine until I felt wizards coming near the school grounds. I wondered why they didn't just flew here, but I didn't put it to mind and started seeing where they were going, and to my surprise they were coming into the Great Hall. I was confused about this until Malfoy started spouting one of my pawn's secrets, which about being a werewolf. At this point I knew something bad was going to happen. This was more proven by the fact that the wizards were Auras and were here for Lupin. I don't know how he got that information, but I needed to stop them so they wouldn't ruin my plans. As I was talking to them, an elf apparated by me. Sir Dumbledore, sir, it's very bad big troll be in castle. They be everywhere, the elf said to me, making me shocked. What? I yelled with some people joining me. As soon as I yelled that a Hagrid came into the Great Hall. Dumbledore, sir, something wrong with the creatures. They seem to be headed to Hogwarts. They're numbered into the hundreds. He yelled, making me yell what again?
I thought that it couldn't get any worse than this. I was wrong, because not even a second after that, all the magic seems to be pulled into a certain place at a mass quantity that even the children can feel it.
What in Merlin is going here? I said with a shocked face. Topsy-pop. I was in darkness again. But this time there were two beings fighting, one red as fire and one brown with horns. At first it seemed that the one with horns was going to win, but the red fire overcame it, then started heading to me, which was now a blue ball of flame shining brightly. When the red flame came, I started defending and attacking with all my might, but as I kept fighting, I soon realized that I was losing, but that didn't stop me. No, I dug deep and summoned all the power that I could, just like the first time. And just like in the beginning, the green was here. It jumped on the red and killed it with ease. But this time it didn't disappear. No, this time it ate both the red and brown, and when it was finished it came up next to me. I wasn't afraid. I knew it was going to eat me. So I welcomed it, and soon both the green and me were mixing, turning into a new color. When the process was finished, I was still bluish, but I knew my new color was the color of cyan, a combination of green and blue. It felt perfect, like a part of me that I never knew I was missing came back. After that was finished, I started sleeping, but before I did fall asleep, I felt it. I felt my new body growing. With each beat it grew more. Dumbledore. The Great Hall right now was loud with all the students freaking out and asking questions. Quiet, I yelled, making the Great Hall silent. Class will be cancelled today. Everyone stays here. It's not safe to go back to your rooms. Perfect. Start searching for any missing people. But if you find a troll, run and do not fight it, I said. Now, Hagrid, how long do we have till the beast comes? I said to Hagrid. Any moment, sir, he said. Go and take some of the teachers and try to stop them. Also tell them to come in the Great Hall. Someone needs to defend these children, I said. That goes for all of you to stay and protect the children, I said, turning to the Auroras. Yes, sir. But where are your goings? One of them said. There are trolls in the castle that I need to take care of, I said, and started walking out the front door. As I'm walking, Minerva soon appears by me. Albus, what on earth is going on? The whole castle is shaking and I'm hearing the word of troll invading the castle, she said to me.
I don't quite know, but the only clue that I know is that somewhere in a room in the castle, someone is using all the magic nearby. We can only go there after we have taken care of every troll that the person has brought inside, I said with a serious face. But it doesn't make sense. How did the person even get the trolls into Hogwarts? Especially now, she said to me. I don't know, but I've been getting this feeling since I felt the magic sucked up, I said. What do you mean? She said, looking a little scared. I feel a change coming, as if all of the rules of magic itself are about to be rewritten, I said, looking scared myself. What are we going to do? She said. I don't know. All we can do is take it one step at a time, I said, and kept walking. Soon we arrived by 2 trolls who saw us and came running at us. As they were running, Minerva transfigured the floors into spikes, and I used a tripping spell on both, causing their death. Minerva and I kept killing trolls repeatedly till eventually we confirmed that we killed the last one. When that was finished, we rushed to help Hagrid and the rest with the monsters. As we arrived at the centers, were there along with them, and behind them were a line of sleeping monsters. Good, now, there's only one last thing to do, I said, looking at the monsters. You will not be able to stop what is happening, Ferenzi said to me. What are talking about? I said, looking at him. You may not be able to sense it because you have no connection with nature, but we can, and Mother Nature is celebrating, he said with a smile, making the rest of the centaurs cheer in excitement. Celebrating what me and Minerva said at the same time. The birth of a king, he said. After he said that, I did not waste any time and started rushing to where I was sensing the magic was going, with everybody following me, which was the 7th floor, but there was only one room there and only I knew of it. The room of requirement? Berber, how could anyone know of it? I made sure that any mention or writing of the room was erased. So it's how did they find it? I thought and started increasing my pace. 3rd POV. As the Dumbledore and the rest were going to Hogwarts, the castle started shaking, making the everyone and thing rush out of the castle. The castle kept shaking as it was going to fall, but instead of falling down, the castle roof started moving as if making way for something. It didn't take long for them to see what it was, a tree, but this tree was giant. And it was still growing, making the castle move out of the way till eventually they could all see the full tree from the bottom to the top. It was at this moment, when the magic that was already being sucked by that tree went into overdrive, causing everything to shake and the tree to grow more till it stopped. It stopped taking magic, it stopped growing, it just stayed there. Is it over? Someone said. As he said that, the tree did something. It started to shine a green color, then a blue, and then finally a bright cyan. When it finished shining, the tree started dissipating into little lights, revealing a figure. The figure was soon revealed. It was an elf, but not a regular elf. No, this one was a true elf. Blonde hair which shined like the soon white porcelain skin, long and slim ears, a breathtaking face, heterochromia eyes, one blue and one green, with a cyan circle around them each. This elf was tall, standing at 6'5", dressed in white clothes that only royalty would wear, that was proven by the fact that there was gold in the clothes, making him look like an angel, and last but least, he was wearing a crown that had a blue gem in it with a raven symbol on it. When the elf was finally rivaled, white doves started circling him, and all over the world, every single creature of nature bowed in the direction of the elf. This included every house elf, who stopped whatever they were doing and bowed down, then started chanting, "The king has been born," over and over, again as if not by their own will but by something ancient, deep within them. The elf didn't move, but instead he started speaking. "I name myself Dryadalis Rex," the newly named elf said, making the world and nature go wild as if celebrating the birth of its new king. "After sleeping for a while, I was woken up in darkness which soon was gone, and I saw the world in my new eyes. I didn't think about my new body yet. Not there was one thing that I needed to do first. I needed a name, not the one my mother gave me. No, I need a true name, one to reflect my position in this world. So I started thinking, and there was only one way that I could name myself. I name myself Dryadalis Rex," I said, making the world shake. After I said that, I started feeling and looking at my new body. I have to say, my new body felt so right, like a missing puzzle. After feeling my body, I transfigured a mirror to see my new body, and I got say I am handsome. Finally have the body that I deserve. Now let's check the final thing, I said, and pointed my new fingers up into the sky. Fire, I said, and imagining fire coming out of my finger and transforming into a dragon. I felt nothing at first, but then my mana left my body, but I still felt that I didn't even use a drop of my mana, and then the fire left my hand. The fire was supposed to be average size, but when it came out it was gigantic. The fire dragon soared into the sky and kept soaring till I made it explode in a fireworks kind of way. I ignored the shocked gasp and went to see my new mana capacity. What I found brought me to pure joy. My previous mana capacity, that was about the size of a puddle, transformed into a cyan ocean. It looked near endless, so I decided to see its limitations. I started shooting different dragons in different elements such as water, lightning, and wind, always making sure to make them explode when they reached a certain height, making the sky live up. As soon as finished doing that, I checked my capacity to see no change, so I came up with the conclusion that I'm either regenerating mana at such a speed that I don't lose any of my new mana is at such a level that me doing this doesn't take that much power, or it might be both. I will have to test this out later. After coming to that conclusion, I started looking ahead to see that I have a crowd composed of Dumbledore, the students, the teachers, some auroras, centaurs, and finally kneeling elves. After looking at them, I started walking till I got to the spot where the castle opened, and I just kept walking and fell. But when I did, I started floating down gently till I got to the ground, and I apparated in front of them, which didn't look like normal apparating. It was as if I wasn't there one moment. Then I'm calling this true teleportation or instant teleportation. As soon as I appeared in front of them, they were shocked and of course pulled out their wands, except for Dumbledore, probably acting like the grandfather to try to be friends with me and manipulate me. I don't pay attention to them and turn around to look at the Hogwarts. It seems my transformation roughed you up a bit. Let's get you back to shape as a thank you give, I said, and then waved my arm and imagined the castle arranging itself back the way it is, which it did in an instant. It was at that time that I felt a small decrease in my mana, but I ignored it. Restoring a castle such as that will, of course, takes a lot of power. My name is Albus. Dumbledore was about to continue, but I stopped him. I know who you are, I said, and was a little shocked at how my voice sounded. My new voice was smooth and was low, but carried power with it. I very much liked it. After saying that, I turned around and started walking to the elves that were kneeling. After arriving in front of them, they were still kneeling, but were just quiet, so I decided to speak. Rise, I said with but a whisper, but everyone heard it, and the elves rose. When they rose, they started looking confused, probably not knowing why they were accepting orders from me. Mr. Dryadalis, we don't know what you've done to these elves, but I implore you to let them go, Dumbledore said with his grandfather's act. So they can go back to serving you again, I said, not even looking at him, but I could tell he was shocked. That's just the way their species are. We cannot choose who was born as, Dumbledore said again, making me angry, which in turn made the surrounding ground break. My species were not born to serve. Your species were the one who put the collars on them. I don't know when, but I do know how, I said to him, making him struggle to breath under the pressure of my mana, along with the rest of the wizards. So you come to free them, so they can serve you, he still said under all that pressure. It was at this time I turned to him and talked. I am their king. It is my birthright that they listen to me, I said with majesty in my voice. Listening, because I am going to say this one and only one time. You wizards with all of you arrogances have enslaved my mighty race for centuries, but no more. It is time that my people fight. It is time that my people show you our power. It is time for you, wizard, to pay for the years of torture and abuse. I, the king of elves, Dryadalis Rex, declare war on every wizard. I yelled, and then with a swipe of my arm I teleported myself and the elves away, leaving them in shock. After Dryadalis left with the elf, the world soon found about the new crown king of the elves, and this shocked everyone, and with missing a beat, the Daily Prophet soon realized the news. The elves have declared war. No, you are not hearing wrong, folks. House elves are apparently declaring war on wizarding kind. Yesterday, on Hogwarts ground, after an invasion from trolls and a monster stampede, an event occurred, causing every single house elf to look in the direction of Hogwarts and bow. This event was because of the birth of the supposed elf king named Dryadarlis Rex. After the event happened, the newly crowned king declared war on wizarding kind and took every single house elf in Hogwarts and left for Merlin's Nowhere. Dumbledore Poof. I just finished reading today's Daily Prophet and put it down and started looking at the teachers arguing. After Dryadarlis left, I brought the students inside Hogwarts and brought the teachers to discuss what happened. What does mean Albus? Minerva said to me. It means that Voldemort isn't the only person that we have to worry about, I said to her. What are you talking about? It's one person with a supposed army of house elf. For all we know, he could be lying about this whole thing, Horace said. No, this was 100% real. Nature herself celebrated it. I said to him, making him shocked. Well, what do we do? No, how are we going to feed the children? Horace said. For now, we can just hire wizards willing to do work until we can think of a final solution, I said. The only thing that we have to worry about is trying to stop this war before it starts, I said. And how are we going to stop the Elf King from raging war for house elf, who of course have been abused in most if not all wizard houses? Minerva said. I don't know just yet, but I'm sure that if I can just talk to him, then we could reach a conclusion. I said with a smile. For now, I need to head back to my office and research more about this, I said, and then left. As I'm walking to my office with a smile inwardly, I'm cursing over and over again. How did this happen? A house elf couldn't and shouldn't be this powerful. Not only that, but my whole plan is ruined. The only good thing that came out of this is everyone forget about Lupin being a werewolf, as I thought. Okay, let's calm down. Maybe I can use this to my advantage. If I can get the Dryadarlis under control, it will furthermore add to my power. I thought, and then smile. Yes, all I have to do is get you under my control, just like I've done with every single person. How hard could this be? I mean, he is just a house elf, even if he is evolved once a house elf, always a house elf, I thought, and then went to my office to research on house elves. Third Povir. In an unknown place, in an unknown room, there was a man with a malevolent aura seemingly contemplating something. As he is contemplating, another person walks in. Voldemort, Professor. My lord, has you heard the news? One of my Death Eaters said to me. Yes, I have, and I have to say this is an intriguing surprise, I said with a smile on my face. What shall we do about this, my lord? Another Death Eater said. We shall recruit him, of course. Even if he is the king of the elf, he still is just a house elf, I said with a smile. But my lord, what I've heard he able to suppress Dumbledore with his magic alone, another Death Eater said. So, what of course our lord is stronger than Dumbledore, and that puny little elf should be lucky to serve him, and he doesn't then well make submit, Bellatrix said. Well said, Bellatrix, I said with a smile. Now I want you all to find this Dryadarlis Rex and invite him to meet me, I said, making them bow and leave. A house elf who thinks it powerful enough to declare war on wizarding kind. How interesting. Let's see how powerful you are, Dryadarlis Rexers, I thought with a smirk. Grinkarpov. I put down the Daily Prophet and then proceed to laugh. Ha 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 ha. I laughed, making the other goblins turn to me. What's so funny, Grinker? One goblin said to me. Do you remember the house elf that I told you that I meet that day? I said to him. Yes, what about it? He said with a confused face. Well, you're looking at him, I said, and pointing at the picture of Dryadarlis. Where? You're kidding, you must be lying, he said in shock. I wish. Look at his eyes. I know you remember that elf, I said, making him look at the picture again. My good, it's true, but how can that be possible? He was just a puny house elf the last time that we saw him. So how did he get so powerful? What did I tell you? I have a knack for finding special people, and I knew that elf was special when I looked into his eyes, I said. So, what does this mean? Are we going to side with them? I mean, they seem to be just like us, the goblin said. How should I know? I'm not the king. Now let's get back to work, I said, and went back to work. Next said. Around the world, multiple factions, groups and powerful people had their eyes on Dryadarlis Rex. Most laughed at the elf king, thinking he was just a bug beneath them. Most wanted to recruit him and make him sir, as his people have always done. And finally there was a small group that knew of the true danger that this king posed. But unfortunately this group could only watch as they had no power to make the new king submit. After I teleported away, I arrived once again in the warehouse. After arriving, I immediately put all the elves to sleep and then look around to see more elves, so I put them to sleep too. After putting them to sleep, Daniel arrives and greets me. "My lord," he said while bowing. "I'm surprised you recognize me, Daniel," I said while looking at him. "No matter how much the Lord changes, he is still the Lord," he said, still bowing. I said and started walking towards a chair. "You did a good job getting these elves," I said, and then sitting down in the chair. "Thank you, my lord," he said with a happy beat to him. "Line each of them up by themselves," I said. "Yes, lord," he said, and started moving the sleeping elves. As he was doing this, I started thinking about things, mostly myself and my life, and I've come to a realization. I have let the freedom and power of reincarnating change me. I mean, for fuck's sake, I killed 2 children. Even if they were shitty, they were still children. As much as I realized how stupid I've been acting, it doesn't mean that I regret doing any of it. I did what I needed to do to get to where I am today, so how can I regret it? Now, let's start thinking about the important stuff. I thought, and continued thinking. This new manner, if I can even call it that, because it's more of a mix between man and nature, so maybe I should call nature manner a combination of nature and manner. Yes, that will work. Anyways, this nature's manner is so powerful, as I thought that I can already feel the abundance of power that I can tap from it. I mean, I reconstructed Hogwarts with a wave of my hand. As much as this is powerful, I know that I can't let this get to my head and become arrogant. Yes, arrogance will lead to my downfall now that I've gotten the body that I've deserved and became the king of all elves in the process. What now? Well, that obviously find a new home for the elves to live in, and then find a way to evolve the elves to my level, then free the remaining elves. After that, I don't quite know. I guess something will happen and I'll have to deal with it. With that done, I soon turned to Daniel, who was finished lining the elves up, who were all sleeping, laying down peacefully. I started counting each of them, and the result was I had about 205 house elf that I need to evolve and find a home for. For the matter of the home, I think I know the perfect place for it. The place where the nature energy came from. I'm pretty sure without that piece of wood I couldn't have evolved to the point where I am today. So that means that elves must have a tree to evolve into their true form. Speaking of said evolution, I've come to resiled another thing. There are still creature that I didn't think about to add to my evolution, mostly because I felt adding too much would make me into a monstrosity, and that I could do the ritual after I've set up a good foundation, which I've done, so now all I need to do is find the time and place to continue my evolution. After thinking that, I smiled. Yes, I can't wait. What should I go for? Fist the eyes of Wampus Cat, of maybe the eyes of the Basilisk, or the powers of Anundu. Are so many to choose from. So much power, I said with a smile. My lord, I have finished, Daniel said with his ever stone-cold face. Ah, good job, Daniel, I said, and then started looking at him. What exactly am I going to with you, I thought. Although Daniel here has been very helpful, I am going to create a kingdom for elves and, as such, no wizards won't be allowed for most likely ever. So what do I do about dear old Daniel? I thought, still looking at him. As much as I could kill him, I did kidnapped him and brainwashed him, so I kind of feel bad. Oh, I know why not give him his memories, but take the parts about me being a bad guy and make it still seem that I am his lord. That should work. Not only would he have his life back, but now I can also get a spy into the wizard's ranks, I thought, and then smiled. Come here, Daniel, I said, making him come to me. When he near enough, I look into his eyes, and he let me inside his mind with ease. After getting inside his mind, I inserted his memories, which I still had a copy of, and messed around with it. So I came of as a wizard stuck inside an elf's body that saved him, and then he pledged his life to me. After I exited out of his mind, I saw that his face went gradually from emotionless to a capital human being. My lord, what was it that you need? He said with a smile on his face. I'm going to let you know that you need to go back to the wizarding world to gather information for me. I said, yes, my lord. Thank you for this mission, he said with a smile. No problem, and if anyone asks where you been, just lie or something, and if you need to talk to me, just come back to this warehouse. He'll be able to feel you when you come in here, I said. Yes, Lord, he said. Well, what are you waiting for? Leave, I said, making him look surprised. Sorry, my lord, goodbye, Lord, he said, and then apparated out of the warehouse. Finally, alone again, I said. Well, not exactly, I said, after looking at the sleeping elves. Now, brothers and sisters, let's go to our new home, I said, and then wrapped all the elves present with my mana and started concentrating where the highest concentration of nature energy was coming from. After felling for a few seconds, I finally felt it deep within the earth. So I teleported there with all the elves present. Finally, after teleporting, I once again arrived at the majestic forest in my dreams, but this time I was in front of the tree, and there was a woman here as if she was waiting for me. She had her back turned, so I couldn't see her, so I spoke up. Hello, I said, causing her shoulders to jump and turn around. Finally, the woman said with the sweetest voice I've ever heard. I was confused as to why she said finally and was about to speak, but she turned around for me to see her, and I was stunned. Her face was a combination of natural beauty and a caring mother. She had dark green hair that became a lighter shade as it went down to the ground, almost blending with the ground. She had brown horns on her head which looked like wood, and finally she had a brown dress on her decorated with different flowers. Overall, she looked like a goddess. Wow, I said without realizing it, making her laugh, which again stunned me. Thank you for the compliment, she said with a smile. Wait, I know that voice. You're the one who saved me. Who exactly are you? I said. Il will tell you all that you need to know, but let's sit down first, she said, and sat down on the grass which made flowers grow and bloomed. Before I sat down, I first put all the elves down somewhere safe and sat next to her. If you haven't figured it out by now, but my name is Gaia, or Mother Nature. Nice to meet you, Dryodalis Rex, she said with a warm smile. I had some speculations, but I didn't think I was right, I said to her, causing her to giggle. Yes, not everybody would think of that, she said. I have a question, I said to her. I assume you would, she said. Why did you help me? I said. For me to answer that, I must tell you the history of you people, she said with a sad look on her face. Long ago, the primordial were born different aspects of different thing, brought them into existence, including myself. After being brought to existence, the primordial didn't has much to do, but mess with the fabric of existence. This keep going on for a while until I decided to create planets, and then eventually create life, she said with a smile. After I created Earth, it became the favorite of the primordial. It became a sort of playground for them. I, of course, did not mind. I knew how bored they were. Everything was going well until one primordial decided to try to make life like I did. At first he tried with different animals, but ultimately failed. So he came for help, and I helped him. After helping him, he was able to create a new life based on my own life, called monkeys. This new life, as you can already guess, was humanity, she said and sighed. After that primordial created humanity, he proceeded to spread them around the world as a way of showing of his creations. And because of that, the other primordial became jealous, and so the creation races started. Different primordials started making different life, each having a little aspect of each of them. Inside, for example, the primordial of fire created the phoenix, and the primordial of death created the dementors, she said. This creation race, of course, intrigued me, so I had to make my own creation, the elves, she said with a beaming smile. The elves were my masterpiece. They were much more powerful than the other primordial creation because they could understand the aspect of each primordial and use them, something that has never been done before, she said with a smile that was now turning into a frown. But not all primordial could create life. Some just couldn't do it. Not matter how hard they tried. One of them was magic. She was primordial on the same level as me, and she was angry that she couldn't make her own life, so instead of making life, she stole life by infusing her aspect into a human, making the first wizard, she said, and then sighed. After that, a sort of war started. Magic started consuming the primordial creation, cutting them off from the creator, which weakened them so much, so that magic consumed almost every primordial, she said with a tear falling down her cheek. I wiped the tear from her cheek and asked, why did the primordial get weaker? I said, when the primordial create life, they put all their energy and aspect into them, so when magic took over their creation, she basically swallowed the very aspect of them. It's why wizards can do so much with mana. She said, still looking, said, After magic killed almost every aspect except for the few that escaped, she came after me and my elves. But my elves were strong and fought her off. But magic used the elves' good nature to gain their trust and have the wizards devolve them into what you before you now. She is looking at the elves sleeping with sadness. If that's what happened, then how are you still alive? I said. I can't die because I am the aspect of nature and life. Magic could only weaken me to a coma at the most, she said. Oh, if you were in a coma, how did you wake up? I said. Why? Because of you, of course, she said with a smile making me have a confused face. Seeing my confused face, she continued, while I was in a coma, I felt something call me for help from the depths of my slumber, causing me to wake up and help you if even only for a moment. I wanted to see who was calling me, but to my surprise, it was a newborn elf, and it seemed that we had a connection even though magic herself was strong in you. You were producing nature energy, so to help me come back from my slumber and to make sure magic doesn't sense you, I've been taking all the nature energy you've been producing, she said with a guilty face. It's okay, I don't mind. You did what you had to do, I said. Thank you for understanding, she with a smile. So can you tell me the primordial? I asked, causing her to smile and continue talking. I do not know how long I was asleep for, because this was the first time I slept without worrying about what is coming for me or what I am going to do. Overall, it was a nice sleep, a dreamless kind of sleep you get when your mind is so tired. From working it cannot even be bothered to make dreams. I would have kept sleeping for more longer, but I was woken up by the sound of bark breaking. I opened my eyes to that sound, and I saw that the trees the elves were now breaking apart, with the first one being in front. The tree kept cracking and cracking, till eventually an elf woman came out. She had green hair that went to her back with green eyes, and a normal but strong body, and not only that, but she was naked. After she came out of the tree, the rest soon followed. Different trees broke, revealing different elves of different sexes. Each of them had different hair color, body size, but all of them had green eyes. Of them finished evolving, they came in front of me and Gaia, who was smiling and bowed. My lord, a symphony of different voices said to me, right now there are a lot of things that I could say to my new subjects, but there was only one thing of which I could think. Were they naked? I said aloud, causing them to blush and Gaia to giggle. What do you expect? They were just born again, Gaia said. But I had my clothes when I evolved, I said with a confused face. Yes, but yours was a special king of evolution, and after all you are the king, she said proudly. Oh, okay, I said, and then stand up to greet my new subjects. You can all rise, I said, making them stand up. What are your names? I said. We don't have any true names, just the ones those wizards gave us, the woman in front of the crowd said with a little hatred at the end. Then how about naming yourself? I did so. Why not you all do the same? I said to them. Thank you, my king, the woman said with glee. No problem, now goes on. I wait until you're finished, I said, and then placed my head onto Jelsh's thighs again. It didn't take long for them to start talking and producing names for themselves, and eventually they finally stopped and came back to me. So are all you finished? I said, still on Gia's thighs. Not quite, my king. I still have not decided what my name shall be. The same woman said to me. How about I name you then? I said, causing her to explode with happiness. It would be an honor, my king, she said with a smile. How about Mia Regina? I said to the newly named Mia. Thank you for such a wonderful name, my lord, Mai said to me. No problem, no on to business, I said. First thing first, you all need to get some clothes on you, I said, pointing out their nakedness, and then injecting my nature energy into the ground, making vines grow onto each elf's body, transforming into clothes. Thank you, my lord, Mai said. No problem, now that you are no longer naked, we can start building our new kingdom, I said, causing them to cheer. Now, go on and start making yourself houses, I said, making them leave. Mai stays, I said. You Mai, who was leaving. What can I do for you, your highness? She said to me. You seem to have taken the role of leadership very nicely, so I want you to become my new assistant. From now on, you will be responsible for telling the rest of the elves my orders. Thank you, your highness. It's an honor, she said with a smile. That said, I wanted to ask you about a certain topic, I said. What would that be, your highness? I said. How do you think we should go about the wizards? I said, causing her to frown at the mention of the wizards. As much as I hate the wizards, most of them are innocent, so we can't go into a war with them, especially since most of the elves are not trained in combat yet, so the best choice that I can come up with is to go the Ministry of Magic and demand the release of every elf around the world, Mai said with a serious face. Do you think that will work? I said. I doubt it, my lord. The wizards who run the government are nothing but bigoted idiots, Mai said with hatred. So why should we do this then? I said. Because it would show us in a good light, my lord. It would show that we have no other choice but to fight to free our people, and therefore it becomes easier to recruit allies, Mai said. Well done, Mai, you've outdone yourself. You can go now. I call you when I need you, I said to her with a smile. Thank you, my lord, and goodbye, Mai said, then bowed and left. Is this the only way to free the elf? Gaia said to me. Yes, unfortunately, the wizards nowadays are too arrogant and unwilling to change. I mean, look at their economy. It's doomed to fail, I said. I know, but I just don't like war, Gaia said. Don't worry, I promise to do this war as peacefully as I can, I said with a smile. Thank you, Gia said with a smile. After that, I started watching the elves build the new homes. The way they build their homes was they would mold the trees with nature magic so that it would look like a house, and then add a few expansion charms to make the inside bigger, then a few more spells to make it bigger, and presto, you have a house. I talked with Gaia for a while, and she told me basically about the primordial. For example, the primordial of death is still alive like herself. But in 3 items, if you haven't guessed it yet, it's the Deathly Hallows. She also explained that when I did my first ritual, she able to take enough energy to make the tree that I saw to make a more stable connection between us. She also told me why I couldn't merge with the tree and why I almost died. Basically, when I went into the tree, it was the first time that I got introduced to nature, energy, and even though I'm an elves, it was too much power for me to handle, even though it will take me some time for me to get used to nature energy. To such point that I can finally handle the energy without, in her words, my soul popping like a balloon. So, what exactly are we going to do about the elves? I said, turning to the still sleeping elves. Oh, that won't be hard because you're here. Normally it takes years with the nature energy that I'm producing, but with you here, we can do this in a few hours, she said with a smile. Oh, good. So how do we do this? I said. First, you need to push your nature energy into the ground and have a tree bloom around them, and then you need to push your nature energy into them and remove the magic in them, severing the connection and bringing them back to their original form, she said to me. Why do I need to push the magic out them? I said with a question face. Elves are creatures of nature, and they can evolve back if they still have magic in them, she said, answering me. If that's the case, then how did I evolve? I said. To be honest, I don't know myself. It's probably something that you'll figure out sooner or later, she said to me. All right then, let's do this, I said, and then put my hand in the ground and started contracting. I first started slowly pushing my nature energy separately, which was a little hard to do considering that I was separating my energy in half, but I kept going and soon I was connected to each sleeping elf like a tree with hundreds of roots. After I did that, I transformed the nature energy into a tree and had it wrap the elves around. When I did that, I was brought to the void once again, but this time, instead of just myself, there were the souls of the elves. Their souls were small and flickering as if one strong blow would wipe them out of existences. I went to the first soul that I saw and started inspecting it, and I found what was basically a seal, which is what I'm guessing is what's blocking their growth. So I guided my energy slowly into the soul and started separating the seal from it. This took her about a minute of me focusing till eventually the seal broke, and I started flooding my nature energy inside the soul, pushing each drop of mana out of its soul. I kept doing this for so long that I forgot how long it'd been, but eventually I finished. But I realized that even though that I would give the elves freedom from magic, their minds would still be trapped by the years of abuse, so I did the best thing possible. I brainwashed them. Well, it wasn't really brainwashed per se, more like I gave each of them enough knowledge as a full-grown adult, and then gave them knowledge on what just happened to them. Of course, this does not go well at first. It's like telling a blind person that the sky blue when they've been hearing that the sky is red all their lives. No matter what you say, they won't believe you. And the only way for them to believe you is for them to see, so I did just that. I showed them the truth of reality, the truth of wizards and humans, but at the same time I showed them the good of both sides. I mean, can't have them just hate both sides without knowing the full spectrum. After doing that, the elf soul finally stabilized and fell asleep, finally starting the process of their evolution. Man, who was exhausting, I said after opening my eyes. I imagine it would be, Gaia said to me with a smile. How long have I been down there? I can't really tell time down here, I said, and look up to see the sun. Although it may look like a sky and sun, I know that we are underground, most probably in the center of the world. An island in the center of the world, how appropriate for a species that loves nature. It's been exactly a week, she said with a smile.
What?
It's been a week, no wonder I feel tired. I'm pretty sure I used up all of my nature energy, no wonder I feel so tired, I said and yawned. I'm going to go to sleep. Tell me when the elves finally evolve, I said and was about to get up, but Gaia grabbed my head and put it on her lap. I was at first about to say something, but then she started doing every man's weakness. She started rubbing my hair slowly. I don't know if it was the feeling of my hair being played with, the felling of her thighs, the felling of home that she gave off, or maybe it was the scenery, the fact that I was in a beautiful forest laying on a literal goddess' thighs while she was rubbing my hair, but eventually I fell asleep, except this sleep was different. Since the day I was born, I'd been working, running, always striving for the next thing, but now, for the first time in forever, I truly rested. It took about a few days, but finally the elf finished building the house. After they were finished, the forest looked more like a city than a forest. Overall, it looked very beautiful. The house blended into the trees, giving the forest a look of beauty and peace. After they were finished building their house, I built mine, except I made mine's a castle instead of a house. It didn't take long with the amount of nature energy I had, and eventually I finished my glorious castle. The castle was like the rest of the houses. It combined with the tree, making it look glorious. After all that was finished, I gathered the elves and started teaching them all that I knew. To make it go fast, I went into their minds and imparted the information to them. After I had given them a good amount of information, I taught them occlumens and legimens. It didn't take long for the elves to learn what I taught them, so I sent them to learn by themselves. After all, the best way to learn was through failure. After sending them, I went inside my castle and sat on my new throne and went inside my mind. The reason that I came back here was that I needed to update my barriers. The only reason that I couldn't update them is that I didn't have enough energy, but now I have a very good amount of energy, so I started working. The first thing that I did was expand the solar system and make more planets from various media that I know and spread fake memories into those planets. Then I made various spaceships that would attack people when they leave a planet, and finally I took the spaceship that had all my memories and teleported into a mirror kind of dimension inside my mind. This was the best way that I can think to hide my memories. Think about, let's say someone is that powerful that they can get past all my traps and defense, just for them to find absolutely nothing at all, because my memories are in a different dimension altogether, and I know they won't think to check a different dimension because no one has ever done what I just did. After adding some finishing touch to my mind, I finally finished and then left my mind with relief that no one in this reality will ever get my secrets. You seem happy, Gaia said, appearing next to me. That's because I am. I finally have my mind secured good enough that no one will be able to access it, I said with a smile. I guess that is something to be happy about, she said. Yes, it is. Now I think it's about time that I contact the ministry, I said, and started thinking. What would be the best way to contact the ministry? I thought, oh, I get it. We get good old Dumbles to help. He would be the first to try to end this war before it even started. Mostly because it will ruin his plans, I thought. I'm going to contact the ministry now, I said to Gaia, and then teleported into Hogwarts, where I was sensing Dumbledore's magic, more specifically the Great Hall. When I arrived, everybody was eating and did not notice me. Mostly because I didn't make any sound, so I decided to make my presence known. Hello, Dumbledore.
I said, shocking the surrounding wizards and making them draw their wands. "My, what a warm welcome," I said with a smile. "Everybody put down your wands," Dumbledore said, without missing a beat. "Mr. Dryadelis, what brings you to Hogwarts?" he said with his grandfather's smile. But I could tell that in his head he was running around trying to figure out how I passed his wards. I smiled and said, "The reason that I came to Hogwarts is simple. I've given it some thought, and I've realized how impulsive I have been to declare war like that." "Ah, it's good that you've seen the light. Now we can talk this out like peaceful adults," he said with that grandfather smile making me sneer inside. "Yes, I was thinking just that. I will meet you in front of the Ministry of Magic building tomorrow in the morning, and I shall tell you all my demands," I said, and then teleported without giving him a chance to talk back. I arrived once again in my castle and sat on my throne. "I've contacted the Ministry, and we will give our demands tomorrow. Would you like to come?" I said to Gaia next to me. "As much as I would love to come with you, I can't. The only reason that I'm here is that I'm using your nature energy in this tree as an anchor, so I can't go outside or too far from the tree. Not nature energy in the world nowadays," she said with a sad face. "I'm sorry, I promise I fix that, so don't worry, soon enough you be at full power and see the world once again," I said with a serious face. She giggled and said thank you, and then left, so I called Mai to the throne room to tell her what just happened. "I'm going to allow you to speak for me, so I'm going to impart all that I know about wizard society and politics," I said to Mai and went into her mind and imparted the information. "Thank you, my lord, I promise I won't let you down," she said with a determined face. "I know you won't. Now go and prepare and tell the rest of the elves that we leave tomorrow in the morning," I said, making her bow and leave. After she left, I started thinking about who I'm going to recruit for this incoming war. The goblins are an obvious pick. I mean, we have a lot in common, and I'm pretty sure the best way to recruit them is to give them gold and land for protection. "Yes, that will work just fine," I said, and started thinking about what else I need to do to recruit the goblins. The next day came, and soon it was morning, so I gathered the elves who were all waiting in front of the castle, with Mai in front. I soon arrived, making them all turn to me. "Now, I assumed you all have heard that we are going to be talking to the wizards," I said, making them all nod. "Good, now I want you to all stick together and not hurt any of these wizards, no matter what any of them might say," I said, making them nod. "Good, now let's get going," I said, and started rapping them with my nature manner, and instead of teleporting, I decided to show off my power. Third, inside the Ministry of Magic, there was a crowd of wizards of different ages waiting for something, or more importantly, someone. Yes, this crowd of wizards was waiting for the Dryad Alice and the rest of the elves. The Minister of Magic, Ignatius Tuft, was waiting with Dumbledore by his side, and an assortment of different powerful wizards. Among the crowds there were a good amount of Voldemort's followers watching and waiting for an order. The wizard were waiting and watching the many chimneys that were the entrance to the ministry, thinking that the elves could only arrive by flying into the building. Their concentration was interrupted by the ground shaking and cracking from the middle of the room, causing the crowd to run away from it, and the auras pointing their wands at the circle, waiting for danger. Instead of anything dangerous, a vine started growing out of the cracked floor, causing confusion from the wizards. The vine kept growing and growing like a mighty beanstalk till it reached a certain size, height, and bloomed a flower which opened to reveal the elves, led by the king of the elves, as seen on the Daily Prophet, Dryadalis Rex. Without missing a beat, Dryadalis started floating down with rest of the elves and gracefully landed on the ground.
Dryadalis Paver.
After landing on the ground, I could see all of the wizards shocked by my display of power, but I paid it no mind and started walking to Dumbledore. Like Moses splitting the Red Sea, all the wizards moved as I walked, making way for me and my people. Soon enough we reached Dumbledore, who of course had that stupid smile plastered on his face. "Welcome, Mr. Dryadelis, to the Ministry of Magic. Quite an entrance you did there," Dumbledore said. "Yes, thank you," I said, paying him no mind. "This is Ignatius Tuft, the current Minister of Magic," Dumbledore said, introducing me to the person next to him. "Hello, Ignatius," said with the usual amount of arrogance you would get from a pureblood. I said, paying him no mind, causing him to get angry, but before he could say anything, Dumbledore intervened.
All right then, now that we have introduced ourselves, let's go and have a peacefully talk, Dumbledore said, making Ignatius angry, but he said nothing and kept walking. I followed Dumbledore and the rest of the wizards and witches to the place I remember they had harried for his trail. The wizard and witches took one side of the circle, and me and the rest of the elves took another, with the most important people sitting closer in front. We are here to discuss peacefully talks with the newly formed species, the elves, Dumbledore said after standing. Mr. Dryodalis, the crowned king of said species, you have the floor, Dumbledore said. Thank you, Dumbledore, I said with a smile, and then turned to My lord has decided that I have the honor of speaking for, as such I shall tell you what my lord has decided, she said with the seriousness of a politician. First, we want all elves worldwide be brought to us. Second, we would like a formal apology from wizarding kind for the atrocities that you committed to our species for so many years. This formal apology will include payment of gold and land. Lastly, we want the right do what we wish to any intruder that invaded our territory. Mai said loud enough that everybody could hear her. You must be kidding if you think we're going to give your pathetic was any of those requests. Ignatius said with a mix of arrogance, stupidity and anger. As soon as he said that, I knew he fell into my trap. I know the wizards and withs aren't going to allow any of my requests. They're too cocky and arrogant. They never give any species other than themselves any type of power, so I'm going to use that to my advantage. How, you may ask? Easy, by painting the elves as a species who just wanted an apology and their people back. By painting us as the good guys in the scenario, we can't easily recruit more species who have been refused the same way we have from the wizards and withs. Pathetic, you say, I said with an angry face, and started letting out all of my nature mana, causing every wizard and witch to start having trouble breathing with the amount of pressure my full power was giving. You think my race is pathetic, I said, and then started laughing. Fine, let's see how pathetic my race is when we meet on the battlefield, I said. And then turned to Dumbledore. I gave your way a chance and it didn't work. I would say that I surprised, but I'm honestly not. Goodbye, wizards and witches. Let this be known as the day your species lost the right to call itself as the major power in the world, for war comes, I said, and teleported me and the rest of the elves back home. Third PV. What have you done, Ignatius? Dumbledore said with a serious face. All I've done was show that elf their place. They think just because they have one strong person they can challenge us wizards have. Ignatius said with arrogance. Sigh, you have no idea what you've done, Dumbledore said, and then left. Arriving once again at my castle, I went to my throne to attend to my subjects. My fellow elves, it is, as I suspected, the wizards will not give our people the freedom and respect that we deserve, so the only way we can get set respect and freedom is to fight for it, I said, sitting on my throne, causing them to cheer. We will soon be going to war, but do not worry with our power. We will win this with no problem, so for now, go train and wait till I once again call you to fight, I said, causing them to bow and start leaving. Except for Mai, who stayed. Mai, have you successfully contacted the goblins? I said to Mai, standing in front of me. I have, my lord, and the have replied, she said with a smile.
What do they say? I said.
They will meet you tomorrow in Gringotts and will bring you to their king, Mai said with a smile. Good. Now that's settled. It's time to prepare for war. Come here, Mai, I said, making her come closer to me. I looked Mai into her eyes and went into her mind with ease and left a multitude of attack spells and military tactics, and then left her mind. You can go ahead and appoint a general to teach the elf how to fight with the knowledge that if given you, I said, then dismissing her with a wave of my hand. Thank you, Lord, Mai said with a smile, then bowed and left. Everything is going as planned. The wizards let their stupidity and arrogance take over them and didn't give me what I wanted, to give me the right to fight and kill them in the name of freedom. After all, the best wars are the ones that advertise freedom. I though sitting in my chair. Now I only need to get the goblins on my side, which won't be that hard. All I will be asking is for them to be neutral in this fight and not help the wizards, and as a creature of nature, they shall be welcome to live with the elves and have an alliance with us. I thought, while I'm fighting this war, I might as well take out Voldemort before the prophecy is ensured, and also get the 3 Deathly Hallows, which I really should have gotten when I was in Hogwarts, but I couldn't take that chance with Dumbledore. There, I mean. One word from James and he'll start looking everywhere, especially something so string as a Deathly Hallows is. Speaking of Dumbledore, how can I kill him? He'll need a way to get rid of him without losing the public opinion. Maybe I can just show the people his true colors and then fight him. Yes, I can do that, I thought. With all of that, there's only one thing that will be left to do, I said out loud and got up and started walking to my new bedroom. Walking into the bedroom, I see a figure on the bed. Walking closer, I finally see the figure, because she was the person that I've been looking for. Gaia herself was sleeping on the bed. She was still wearing clothes, but the hugged her curves so well that it left nothing to the imagination. I started slowly looking at her body from her breast to her perfect that hugged dress, and without me realizing it, I got an erection for the first time in this new body. As I am looking at her body, I didn't see her wake up until I saw her eyes, which were now staring at the bulge showing in my pants. When she saw me looking at her, she smiled. "Hi," I said, feeling awkward, making her giggle. "Hi to you too. I see you have a little problem there," she said, looking at my erection again. "Yeah, couldn't help it, sorry," I said, feeling embarrassed. "It's okay, how about we help each other here?" "Just like that, I said with a confused face. "Oh, don't take me for slut now, I like you. I wouldn't just put out for anyone now, so how about it?" she said, standing up and when I woke up, she was sleeping on my chest naked. I just watched her staring at her beauty till she woke up. "Good morning," she said, hugging me. "Morning," I said. I said to her, "I forget to ask you this yesterday, but if we want to ever have a life, we have to either kill or seal the primordial of magic. So what I wanted to ask is, where is the primordial of magic and how can I kill or seal her?" I asked her. "The primordial of magic is most likely sleeping like me, or else you would not have made it this far. But most likely she will wake up soon. And as to where she is, most likely she either in a place with a huge concentration of magic or in a wizard of the highest standard. And as to the last question, you can't seal her, because she will just keep trying to get out and try to kill you. So you can only kill her, and to do that you need more power than you have right now," Gaia said, making a circle on my chest. "How exactly do I get more power?" I said. "The only way is to absorb the essences left by other primordials, such as the essence of death from the Deathly Hallows," she said. Okay, I got it," I said with a smile. "Good, then let's stop talking about that and do something." After a fun morning exercise, I took a shower with Gaia and went to Mia, who was waiting for me outside my bedroom door. "Hello, Mia, good morning," I said with a smile, causing her to blush either because of my handsome face or because of something else, but I didn't care and kept walking past her. "Yes, good morning, Lord. Shall we head to the goblins now?" she said to me. "Yes, let us do that," I said, and grabbed Mia and then teleported into Gringotts. As soon as I arrived, everyone stopped moving till I cleared my throat and started talking. "I believe we have an appointment with your king," I said, causing them to move and most likely inform their king. I was waiting for someone to come to me. I saw a familiar figure, so I went up to him. "Hello there, nice to see you again," I said to him, making him smirk. Yes, nice to see you again," he said with a snicker. "I never got your name last time that I met you, and neither did you get mine, so how about I properly introduced myself? I am Dryodalis Rex, king of all elves," I said, looking at the goblin. "Nice to meet you, your highness, Dryodalis. I am Grinker," he said with a smile. "Grinker, nice name. How would you like to come with me for meeting you, king?" I said. "It would be an honor, your majesty," he said with smile. Yes, I like you. If I ever open an account, you can in charge of it," I said, making Grinker's eyes turn into $sign. "Thank you, your majesty," he said with a smile, almost splitting his face. Soon goblin warriors arrived with a person leading them, who I'm guessing is the king by the crown and the way he's dressing. "Good day, and nice to meet you, Lord Dryodalis," the goblin said to me after arriving in front of me. "Same to you, Lord Ragnak," I said with respect, causing him to nod. "Shall we take this somewhere more private?" he said. "Of course, I hope you don't mind that I bring Sir Grinker here. He's going to my manger if I ever open an account in Gringotts," I said to him, causing to look at Grinker and nod. "Of course, not come along," he said, and started moving, causing me to follow along. We soon arrived at a room with a table with multiple chairs, each hosting a goblin, and a chair with equal height. Ragnar went to the other side of the chair and sat with his retainers, so I sat in the chair facing him with Mia and Grinker sitting by me. After sitting, Ragnar started speaking. "You have contacted the goblins, but about talks of an alliance," Ragnar said to me. "Yes. As we elf and goblins are both creatures of nature, it's only mean that we should have an alliance, plus with the way wizards are treating us, it's simply a good idea to stick together," I said with confidence. "Yes, I guess it is, but tell me, Sir Dryadillis, in this new alliance, what will we do about matter of war?" he said, looking serious. I chuckled. "Haha, getting straight to it, are we?" I said, making him smirk. "I see no reason to waste time, so let's just get to the main subject at hand." Ragnar said, "Yes, let us indeed. For the matter of war, of course, we should help each other," I said, causing him to stop smiling, and was about to say something, but I cut him off. "Only in dire situation of if the leader specifically asks for help," I said. "I see, but I have a question," he said to me. "Ask away," I said. "If the goblins sign this alliance, will you ask us to fight in this war of yours?" he said, and looked me dead serious in the eyes. "If you do sign the alliance, then no, I will not ask you to join this war. Instead, I will ask you to stay neutral to both sides," I said, making look confused. "You want to stay confused to both sides?" he said to me. "Yes, to both sides. Listen, Ragnar, I know as king you want what's best for your people, and even though fighting with me could give you people a better life, you don't know the chances of winning the war, and you as king are not going to send your people fight a war without knowing the outcome. So the best thing that I can ask you is to stay neutral. That way you can see who's going to win the war and can choose which side you want to join," I said with a serious face. "Are you that certain that you will win this war?" he said, looking at me. 100%, I said, causing him to laugh. "All right, if you're so sure, then we the goblins will stay neutral for now," he said, making the last part known. "That's all I'm asking for," I said with a smile. After talking more about technical stuff, we wrote a contract and both signed it, and I soon left, saying goodbye to both Ragnar and Grinker, and went to prepare for the future. Grinker Perva. After Dryadalis left, I was called to meet the king. "Grinker, tell me what you think of the king of the elves," Lord Ragnar said to me. "I think it's best we follow him," I said with a smile. "Oh, and why is that?" he says to me. "Because the last time that I saw him, he was nothing but a stronger house elf, serving a lowly wizard family, but in less than a year he has become someone who is able to challenge the whole wizarding world," I said. Is that so? Well, I guess we shall see just how great he is, and if he is, we shall follow him, but for now we watch," Ragnar said to me, and then dismissed me. After coming back to the castle, I sent Mia away to keep training the elves and went to Gaia, who was outside playing with a fox-like creature under the shade of a tree. "How did it go?" Gaia said with a smile, seeing me coming to her. "It went as expected, and now the goblin will be neutral," I said, getting behind her and hugging her, making her lean into me. "So now we go to war," she said, sounding sad. "Don't be sad, I promise I'll only kill the idiots and dark wizards," I said, making her happier. "Thank you," she said with a smile. "And plus, this war is merely distraction," I said with a smile. "What do you mean?" she said. "As powerful as me and the elves are, we won't be able to beat all of the wizards in the world. It's one of the reasons that I made it seem that we're fighting this war for freedom and not just to kill wizards. This way I can get wizards on my side," I said with a smirk. "And how will you do that? I mean, they're wizards," she said, a blank face. "Simple, I've got a wizard minion that has been gathering power, and now I just have to have him spread how the elves just want freedom and how unjust that wizards are being, and how we should give them freedom they deserve, the light, and maybe the neutral sides will eat it up, and soon even Dumbledore will be on the side to let the elves be free, which in turn will cause a civil war and a divide," I said with a smirk still on my face. "Okay, I can see that happening," Gaia said with a thinking face. "Yes, While that's going, he'll be going after Voldemort to make the light side see me more as a person who wants freedom and create more friction for the Civil War. But all of that will be a distraction for me to get time to find and get more power and find the person or place the primordial of magic is. Right now, my best guess is Dumbledore, I said. Yes, he most probably is, from what I know about him, Gaia said. Yes, well, I guess it's time for me to go greet my minion, I said, kissing Gaia on the cheek and getting up. See you soon, I said, and teleported away to where I was feeling Daniel's man's signature. I teleported in an office of sort, and Daniel was doing work that I didn't care to learn what. I stayed there waiting for him to acknowledge me, but it seems that the dint has enough experience to sense me teleporting in front of him, so I spoke. Hello, Daniel, I said, spooking him. My lord, this servant welcomes you to his home, he said as soon as he recognized me, and bowed, which I nodded to. How has things been going, Daniel? I said, sitting on a chair in the office. Things have been going well, Lord, and I have done as you said, Daniel said, still bowing. Good. I have a new assignment for you. I need you to gather a group and start supporting the elves, preaching that all we want is peace, and that this war can be avoided if we just compromise with them, I said. Yes, Lord, Daniel said. Make sure that you get Dumbledore's help on the matter. I said, Yes, Lord, Daniel said. Since you're going to need money for this here, I said, and then started filling the room with solid gold bricks. Getting gold isn't hard as long as you know the chemical composition, alchemy, and an abundance of mana. Thank Lord I will not fail you, Daniel said. I know you. I make sure of that, I said, and then got in front of him, put my hand on his head, and expanded his mana reserves, giving him the power close to Dumbledore. Also make sure no one finds about this, just say you got lucky, or something, just make it sound plausible. I said, then teleported back to the castle, and then went to the bedroom. Right now the sun was setting, and I was feeling mentally tired, so I dropped myself on the bed and sighed. Tired, Gaia said, appearing out of thin air, and started hugging me. Being a king is annoying, and too tiring. I'm going to find someone to dump this job on soon, I said and sighed. Hee-hee-ha! How about do something to give some energy, Gaia said with a smirk. Okay, I said, wanting to see what she would do. She started slowly moving to my lower body, using her finger to trace my muscles till she got to my pants, which she took off. Bring my dick, which by now was hard as rock. Someone's happy to see, she said, and then kissed it, causing my dick to twitch. Hee, she giggled, knowing what she was doing to me. She started licking slowly on all sides, always stopping right before the tip. After torturing me for a few seconds, she kissed the tip and slowly put my dick her mouth, making the whole 7 disappear like a magic trick. All this time she was looking at me, not looking away even once. There were different sounds coming from her, all which turned me on even more. She kept sucking till eventually I orgasmed and came into her mouth. She swallowed it all, and with pop, she licked all the cum from my dick. He better, she said, looking at me. Much, much better, I said with a smile of my own. He, she giggled once again. We soon started having sex, with me going down on her, retuning the favor, and then to full-on blown sex. This went on to the night until we fell asleep, both satisfied and happy. Waking up to Gaia on my chest naked has become sort of aesthetic. It becomes something that I want to keep in my life. I got out of bed, making sure not to wake her up. After taking a shower, eating something, I went outside to see how the elves were doing. So far, the elves have been adjusting well, and training hasn't been a problem for them. They train in different groups, with each group having a leader of different genders. After training, they do whatever they wish to do, such as signing, making art, or just talking. Most of the elves have gotten together, and most of them were already together, which is a nice thing. Overall, the whole little city is in harmony, and that brought a smile to my face. After wandering around the city, I am once again in my castle, but this time I'm in the newly purification room, as I call it. In this room, there is only one item, the goblet that has Voldemort's soul in it. I've been putting it off, but it's about time I find all of Voldemort's Horcruxes. The easiest and the first that I can get, which will also help me in the long run, is Marvelous Gaunt's ring, also the ring that has the hold, the resection stone. The location of said ring is in the Gaunt shack, so I need to first find the location of it. How about we use our new friend? I'm sure they won't mind giving me some help. Plus, this will also give me another win, I said with a smirk and then teleported to Gringotts. I arrived and I made sure I made to make a pop noise this time to alert them. Soon once again I am led to Ragnarok, who seemed surprised to see me. Hello, Lord Dryadalis. I'm surprised to see it hasn't even been a week since we last talked, he said with a smirk. Haha, yes, I do realize that, but the matter I have to tell you is of the utmost importance, I said with a smile. And what would that matter be, he said with a questioning face. Why the defeat of Voldemort, I said, making their turn serious. Are you serious, he asked me. As serious as can be, I said with a smile. And how exactly can Gringotts help in this endeavor, he said to me. Well, it's simple, not many people know about this, but Voldemort's isn't the so Dark's Lord real name, but instead it is Tom Marvolo Riddle, a half-blood, and you see Tommy Boy has a huge fear of death. So the idiot split his soul into 5 objects, creating Horcruxes, and until those objects are destroyed, I can't kill him fully, and believe it or not, but Gringotts has the information for 2 of those 5 objects, I said, making him shocked. And what are those information, Ragnarok said. The first is the location of the Gaunt Shack, and the second isn't information, but in actual Tommy Boy left one of those objects inside one of your vaults, the Lestrange vault to be specific, I said, causing to slam his fist on the table. Thank you for telling us this. The address for the Gaunt Shack will be given to you and the Lestrange vault will be searched, he said, still angry. Oh, make sure to not touch it. It's a very dark object, and it can take over a person that doesn't have the strongest mind. Also, if you don't mind, could you give me the object when you find it? I have a way to purify the object without destroying it, I said. That's fine, I do not need such a dark object, Ragnarok said. After a while I got the location of the Gaunt Shack. It was outside of Little Hangleton, Yorkshire. After teleporting to try to find it, I finally saw it. It was the only thing giving off mana and was quite easy to spot, like a flame in the darkness. There were obvious and not obvious charms and wards meant to alert and keep out a person does not mean to be here, but with a mind like mine it was but child's play to get the wards under my control. After getting the ward under my control, I went inside, started looking for the ring. I found, as soon I came inside the house, the energy just screamed at me. It was so different than mana and nature energy that I could not have found it. Inside a drawer lied the Gaunt Ring Riddle, with multiple curses on who would touch it without the right requirement. Even when I picked it with my nature mana, the curse kept spreading only to die out from the purity of my energy. After getting the ring, I didn't wait and teleported back to Gringotts and went to Ragnarok, who was waiting for me with Helga Hufflepuff's cup, which was giving waves of dark energy despite being sealed. I see you have returned with an even stronger Horcruxes, Ragnarok said, cringing, looking at the Gaunt ring floating by me. Yes, and don't worry, you won't ever see these ever again, I said, making the cup float and come by the ring. Well, now that our business is finished, until next time, Lord Ragnarok, I said with a smile, and then teleported away to my final location, the island of the Crystal Cave. The Crystal Cave hides the final Horcruxes that I will need for now, the locket of Salazar Slytherin. Instead of going into the cave and going through all the traps that Tommy set up for a locket that I won't use, I'm choosing to do the smart thing and blowing it the fuck up while also finally seeing just how much destruction I can do with my magic. I floated high up and looked down where the cave is. I first bring my hand up and create a bubble, and inside the bubble I create tinier bubbles, and with almost all my energy I create the basis of an atomic bomb in each bubble that will set off as soon as the bubble pops, and then I let it go, then teleport it far away that I can see the destruction, but won't get hurt. Tell me something. Do you know when something terrible is about to happen? If you don't, then you just need to listen and you hear nothing. A deafening silence that will haunt you in your nightmares. That was what was happening. It was deathly quiet, and then it happened. The explosion could be heard and seen even though I was still so far away from it all. I could do it, just stare at the amount of power that I had. Hi, you don't really know how powerful till you see just how much destruction you can do. Note to self, magic and science has too much potential, and I need to keep a leash on who learns it. I call this spell Tsar Maxima. I said, still tired from the amount of power the attack took from me. After getting enough nature mana, I teleported away, not knowing the fear I had caused in the world. After coming back to the castle, I went straight to the purification room and left all 2 of the Horcruxes inside after sealing them so nothing bad happens, and went to rest. I was resting under when Gaia came next to me with a smile that was not exactly a smile and made me feel nervous for some reason. She sat near me and kept smiling while looking at me. I didn't like the way she was looking at me, so I talked first. "Hey, what's up?" I said awkwardly. "Tell me something you wouldn't happen to do anything stupid today, have you?" Gaia said, but this time narrowing her eyes. "Not to my knowledge," I said, this time sweating. "Then please do tell me why I sensed a huge amount of nature and mana energy in the same place," she said, looking at me. "Haha, you see, I was getting Voldemort's Horcruxes, and one of them I didn't feel like going to all the trouble to get it, so I kind of just blew it up," I said, looking away. "Sigh. Why did you think that was a good idea?" she said, looking disappointed. "Honestly, I didn't think. I just wanted to see how big of the explosion that I could make," I said. "Sigh, of course you did, men," she said, pinching her nose. "I'm sorry," I said, looking down.
Sigh, it's fine. That doesn't do something. That's stupid again.
"Who knows, you might awaken her up, and last time I checked you don't have enough power to fight her yet," Gaia said to me. "Oh. Actually, I have a piece of the Deathly Hallows," I said, looking up. "Oh, that's good. Now you just need to find a way to let it absorb you," Gaia said. "You mean death is still alive?" I said. "Yes, because you can't kill death, just weaken it. That's why people still die, but if you have all the Hallows you gain power over death," Gaia said. "Then how come magic hasn't taken all of the Hallows for herself?" I said. "Because death made it so only humans or human-like beings could use the Hallows. No primordial, as the story goes. And to answer your next question, it's not easy to control humans to do. You're bidden with free will and such. Plus, when said human gains the power over death, they could always kill magic herself. So she did the next best thing. Instead of locking the Hallows in a place where everybody will try to get it, she made the Hallows nothing but a children's story, therefore making the masses laugh at the idea of such power and not pay attention to it," she said, finishing explaining. "Okay, that makes sense, but one last thing. How do you know so much if you've been sleeping so long?" I said, causing her to roll her eyes. "I'm the primordial of nature. I made this whole planet. It is all made of my essence. So, of course, as soon as I woke up, even though I didn't have the full power, I still can access all the knowledge in the world," Gaia said. "So, basically, you have your Google link to the Earth," I said with a blank face. "Yes, if you want to dumb it down to that level," Gaia said, and laid by me. I and Gaia kept talking till eventually I was at full power once again, and soon I went back to the purification room. When I arrived, everything was where I left it. Before doing anything, first I went to the gaunt ring and took out the resurrection stone from it, as it was the only part that wasn't corrupted. After doing that, I stepped back and separated my nature mana and started forcing it into all 3 objects. Nature energy is the purest energy in this world, and a dark soul such as Voldemort's will get obliterated when it comes in contact with it, which was exactly what happened after my nature energy went inside the Horcruxes and sound the souls. I ripped them out by force. It didn't cause any damage to the objects because of the level of my control. Soon there were 3 wraiths in 3 green circles that were desperately trying to get out, but it was of no use because the green circles stared slowly closing till eventually naught was left of the tree wraiths. After that was finished, I put the resurrection stone back into the ring and put it on. I didn't have to worry about the curse because I cleaned them while getting rid of the souls. "Now my other prize," I said then, looking at Helga Hufflepuff's cup. There was the reason why I didn't destroy all of the items, except for the goblet I just kept, cause I felt like it, but the cup was because it was an artifact and has powers that I wanted to see. And as to why I didn't kept Salazar's locket is because the one I truly didn't feel like doing the whole puzzle thing, and you have to be a parcel tongue to open and use the locket. And as for the ring, well, simple. I want to see the look on dear old Tommy's face when I explained to him how he missed an opportunity to be the master of death. I can already see the despair. After thinking about that, I got the cup, left it in the dining room, and called all the elves to the throne room, and after they arrived, I stand up and started talking. My fellows elves, as you know, we are going to war with the wizard, but I want to say we're going to war with specific groups of wizards and witches. The first being Voldemort's group and any dark wizard that you can find. The next thing that I want you to do is to look out for a dairy. The dairy is very important, because it houses the so-called Dark Lord's soul. The last piece to be specific, so when you find a dairy trying to mind control you, call me immediately, and the last and most important thing to do is, of course, free our still chained brothers and sisters from their chains. Now let the first elf and wizard war begin. I said, yelling the last part, making the small crowd go wild. It's been about a week, and so far the war has been going great. At first the wizards thought they could beat the elves no problem, but with the literal knowledge of every spell, it was kind of hard to fight them. Not to mention nature energy is more powerful than the mana and gives better results. Combine all that with the body of an elf, you have an army of hundreds that can take thousands. The first thing I ordered them to do is to go after House Elf and to bring them back. It wasn't that hard to get. The wizards barely put any restrictions on the House Elf today. Even those in the family house were easily taken because the house couldn't stop the elf from apparating inside, so it was easy as apparating inside. Subdue the elf or elves and then bring them back where I evolved them, and then started their training. So far, the army of 200 has increased to about 500, and that after going to other countries. On the wizard's side, Daniel has been doing his job family well. He is preaching the unfairness of elves and how we only so far have killed dark wizards and Death Eaters. Wait, the amount of money he has. His campaign has been going on strong, with him appearing in various media over the wizarding world. Normally such people would be shut down, more so in the matters of war. But with his position as a pure-blood wizard and just him bribing the government, he remains unmoved. He even attracted Dumbledore, saying that Dumbledore would 100% agree with him about how this war can all end if we give the elves what they want. Of course, dear old Dumbledore, being the Lord of the Light he is, had to agree, and now almost about the whole light wizarding world agrees with Daniel, therefore has created a civil war while in war. One last thing, I'm pretty sure Voldemort hates me now, mostly because he's been sending his Death Eaters after my elves. They even started using house elves to attract them, hoping to ambush them and kill them. But unfortunately, I had my elves never go alone and always in a group, so whenever they did get ambushed, they were able to kill them after a while. But it still doesn't stop him from trying over and over again with different types of monsters, even Dementors, but they all failed. While the war was going on, I was focusing on a more pressing matter, finding the second piece of the Deathly Hallows, the invisibility cloak. It involved me focusing on the energy from the ring, which I now call death energy, and then spread sense around the world and try to find the second piece. To my surprise and anguish, it was at Hogwarts. More specifically, it was in the hand of one James Potter. It was safe to say that I slapped my head for almost the whole day, but after doing that I asked Daniel to buy another invisibility cloak and proceeded to head to Hogwarts. This is where I am right now. I am currently in the Forbidden Forest on a tree, laying lazily staring at Hogwarts Castle. The reason why I'm not going to inside or near it is because Dumbledore has buckled down Hogwarts, making it hard for me to go, of course. This isn't impossible, but I felt like doing something fun. You see, this girl, a 6th-year Gryffindor, who usually comes out into the Forbidden Forest to do either an assignment or something else. I didn't bother to know, I just watched to see if she could be used, and well, she can. One of the best ways to use a woman, especially a teenage woman, is the promise of beauty. And this girl hasn't well grown the right size she wants, and by the rants she has been having, it seems that she's being bullied by the other girls for her sizes. Ah, good old high school drama. No matter what universe, it always exists, and it can always be used to your advantage. So here I am under a tree, laying and sleeping without a care in the world, until a certain someone comes and spots me freezing on spot, making me open my eyes. "Hello," I said, looking like I don't care. Hi," she said, looking nervous. "I'm not going to kill you. I was just taking a nap till you interrupted it," I said with the same face. "Oh, I'm sorry, I'll leave," she said, looking more nervous. "Come here," I said with a smile that calmed her down and made her blush. "Oko," she said, came forward with her head down. "Here," I said, pushing nature manner into her and temporarily making her bust bigger and her face more beautiful. "You've been complaining about how you look that I feel bad for you, so here, later," I said, and then promptly teleported away, leaving a confused and happy teenage girl. Now it might have seemed like I gave her everything she wanted for free, but truth be told, it's not permanent, and the effects will wear off in a few days, and at that time she comes back begging for me to do it again, and this time permanently, which will say only if she does me a favor first. So, while I waited, I trained the elves and do various things with Gaia till eventually a week passed by, and on the same day I changed her body. I went back and laid under the tree for my nap. It didn't take long for her to come. "What is it now?" I said as soon as she came close enough. "What you did to me, can you do it again, please? I'm begging," she said. "But I gave you what you wanted, didn't I?" I said, slightly annoyed. "Yes, but it wasn't permanent. Everything was going great, until it started wearing off. Please, can you make it permanent? I'll do anything," she said, this time doing together. Okay, I can make it permanent, but you have to do something for me," I said. "Anything?" she said, looking up and then at my crotch, then swallowing. "Not that," I said, looking where she was looking, and then taking out an invisibility cloak. "There's this boy named James's Potter. He has an invisibility cloak, and I want it. So I just want you to switch it with this one and you get what you want," I said, giving her the invisibility cloak. "Oh, here, this will stop you from getting caught," I said, and gave her a red ribbon. "Just tie around the cloak and you're good," I said. "Why do you want his invisibility cloak when you have one yourself?" she said. "Are you going to question me or do want to look good?" I said, making her start having a battle in her head. "Here, I give you pre-bonus," I said then, sending nature magic in her, making her breast bigger permanently. "That's permanent," I said, making her check, and seeing it was the truth. "So, you going to do it?" I said. "Okay, I'll do it," she said. "Good, also don't think about tricking, it won't end well for you, he'll be here every day till you come back with it," I said, and then left. The next few days she didn't come until eventually she came with it, and it had the feeling of death energy on it. "Good job," I said, getting the second deathly hallow from her. "I've done my part, now yours," she said, looking nervous, mostly thinking I'd undermined her. "Of course," I said, and then sent nature energy to change her body permanently, making her beautiful. "There you go, happy," I said. "Very," she said, looking at herself with a pocket mirror. "Before I go tell how you got it so fast," I asked out of curiosity. "He was a kid starting puberty. All I had to do was flash him and let him a cup, and he did whatever I asked," she said, still looking at herself. "I believe our business is done then, miss. One more thing, though," I said, causing her to look at me, giving me the perfect opportunity to go into her mind and change her memories, and then teleported. "Women don't know how powerful they are to a normal male," I said, looking at the deathly hallow. I waved my hand and erased every single charm that was on the cloak, then proceed to wear it and disappear out of thin air. Soon, very soon. It's been a month since I've gotten the second deathly hallow, and except for the fact that we have gotten more elves and the whole city has gotten more bigger and louder, nothing much has changed. Well, except for one thing, Voldemort is in hiding, right? And that was because when I had enough power, I went on the offensive side and proceeded to obliterate Voldemort's army. Because I'm unlike Dumbledore's stupid army, I actually killed them instead of stunning, so his number dropped like flies and mine just increasing. Soon enough, he went into hiding, most likely trying to find a way to fight my elves. He has tried to fight them, but has failed because every time he tried to fight them, I would make all the elves come as backup, forcing him to retreat. My elves haven't found anything on the diary, so I'm guessing that Voldemort has it. Which is good, because since the slippery snake is finally in one place, I can fight him head-on. From what my elves gathered, Voldemort and his most loyal Death Eaters are on an island surrounded by monster and dragons. That very statement got me excited. It feels like about to go fight a final boss, or in this instance the boss before the true final boss. So right now I am once again in the throne room with my army in front of me, but this time they filled the whole room. My fellow elves, the end of this war is soon about to meet its end. You may question why, but do not worry, I shall show the answer when the time is right. But now on to important matters. I said with vigor. The so-called Dark Lord is on his last leg and is holed up on an island. We shall commence the final attack with me leading the charge, I said, causing them to cheer because they have not seen me fight yet. Now let us go, I said, teleporting on the beach on the island with elves following me. I started walking, not caring about a thing, as various monsters and creatures tries to attack me. Either Mia or a random elf kills it before they come near me, given the effect of a majestic king. Soon we arrived at close to a mansion that had a small army of wizards and witches followed by Tommy in front. Both my elves and the wizards looked at each other. You could cut the tension with a knife. Soon, though, Tom spoke. "Have you come to surrender?" Tom said, spreading his arms. Ha ha! I laughed, causing the elves to laugh as well until I held my hand up, making them stop. "No, I have not come to surrender," I said with a smile. "Not instead, I've come to kill you," I said, and then pausing. "Tom," I said after continuing. "How do you know that name?" Tom said with anger on his face. "Tommy boy, why so angry? After all, it is you name, and how I know that is simple. I'm smarter than you," I said, causing more anger on his face, as if a lowly house elf could be smarter than the great Voldemort. Tom said with the arrogance I've never seen from a wizard, "Is that so? Well then, how about I tell you two things that I know that you don't?" I said with a smirk. "I supposed I can give you a last wish," Tom said. "Do you know what this is?" I said, lifting my hand and showing the gaunt ring, causing him to look shocked. "So, you found one of my Horcruxes, not bad, but I already knew about," he said with malice in his eyes. "Yes, but you know the true power of this ring," I said. "What do you mean?" Tom said. "The story of the Deathly Hallows is true, and this is the Resurrection Stone. Let me give you an example of its power," I said, and taking the stone from the ring and turning the stone over twice, and then saying a name. "Merope Riddle," I said in a whisper, causing a shade of a woman to come out of nowhere, shocking all that was present. "Where am I?" Merope Riddle said, looking around. "Merope Riddle," I said, making her turn to me. "Meet you, son Tom Marvolo Riddle," I said, pointing at Tom, who was shocked. "Tom," she yelled when she saw him and went flying to him. But before she reached him, I sent her back to the afterlife. "So, the Hallows are true. Good. That just means when I kill you, I'll be even more powerful than I'll assemble all three, and they'll be truly immortal," Tom said with a sinister smile. "As a thanks for giving me such wonderful news, I'll grant you a swift death," he said, still smiling. "Actually, I already have the second Hallow, the invisibility cloak," I said, then moved my cloak, which shimmered in and out of existence. "And the last one, the Elder Wand, is actually in the hands Dumbledore," I said, then smiled. "Speaking of Dumbledore, it brings me to the second thing that you don't know," I said, smirking. "And that is," Tom said, "Dumbledore has been controlling you from the very first time you met," I said out loud, making the area go quiet.
What Tom said with nothing but seriousness.
"Ha! Think about Tommy boy. Dumbledore is a master legerdemain and occlumency user. He always knew what you were doing, always one step ahead of you. You probably think that it's not true because you learned occlumency. But let's be serious. This man has years of experience on you. There was now you stand close enough a chance, unless you could think outside the box, and with the way wizards are, that might as well be non-existent. But let's say no of that matter in a match of spells. Do you really think you actually won when he has the Elder Wand? No, Tom. You were manipulated into becoming the darkness so he could be the light, as he done with Gellert Grindelwald. He has done to you. Look past the grandfather act and see. Hi, true-faced Tom," I said to the shocked-faced Tom. After a few minutes, a horror-stricken Tom realized the truth and does the only thing he can and attacks me, starting the final fight of the war. As soon as Tom fired a spell, I blocked and apparated the both of us far away. "What's wrong, Tommy boy? Sad you're not as powerful as you think you are," I said, blocking one of his spells. "Shut up, Avada Kedavra," Tom yelled at me, but I just teleported behind him and poked his cheek. "Ha ha ha," I laughed and teleported away from his attack. "Why won't take this seriously?" he said with anger. "Because, Tom, you're not worth it," I said, stopping smiling. You are nothing but a child throwing a tantrum. You're stupid, bigoted, and think the world revolves around you and all should bow when you get a little bit of power, I said. You're everything wrong with wizards, know everything with humanity, so that's why I won't take this seriously, because this nothing but a game and you are just a silly little pawn, one who's gonna die, more than even now that I sensed you last Horcruxes, I said, shocking him. Last Horcruxes, he said, sounding confused. Of course, did you think it was hard to find you Horcruxes? It not that hard, I said, then turning to the mansion. Tom, let me show you how I destroyed one of you Horcruxes, I said, then lifted my hand towards the mansion and sent a bubble towards it. Before it hit, all the elves teleported away, and soon the island exploded, leaving but a me and Tom surrounded by a blues-green force field. This Tom is true power, I said as he was looking at the destruction I caused. Well, Tom, it's time to say goodbye. You lost all you Horcruxes, you army, I said, and then looked at him in the eyes. And your will, I said with a smirk. Any last words, I said, turning around. Yes, just one, Tom said.
Avada Kedavra.
Tom said, and then hitting, making my body drop. Ha ha, fool, this is what happens when you offended Lord Voldemort, Tom said, and started laughing. But as he was laughing, his view of the world started changing and turning upside down, till finally he saw why. Her body was standing, but there was no head. Behind him something shimmered to reveal the person who he just kills, with nothing but a smirk across his face. Tom then looked at the body beside him to see it become nothing but dirt. No one could have known what Tom, though, as he died, but if they saw his face, there was only one thing that would come to their mind, was confusion. Tom's face had nothing but confusion, as if questioning his whole existence, question everything he's ever done. Was he ever anything else but a puppet? With that, finally, though, Tom Marvolo Riddle Darklord passed, with his body turning into ashes and blown away into the wind. As much I want to feel sorry for, he's just too stupid. There were so many better ways he could have done this, but he just had to do it the wizard way. Sigh, a shame. I wouldn't have minded being in his position. Would have made this much easier, I said as I finished watching Tom's ashes. Well, time to finish it all, I said, and flew up to where the elves were. They were all floating on water watching me. My fellows elves, the first obstacle has been defeated. Now we go after the being that forced us to become the things for years, I yelled, making them cheer. Before we go, I must tell you, do not interfere in this battle that I am about to fight. No of you are strong enough, just stun all the wizards that come after me. Now let's us go, I said, and then teleported to Hogwarts with the elves following me. After teleporting by Hogwarts Lake, the elves started surrounding the castle, and I transfigured a throne and sit on it while I wait for the main person to arrive. It doesn't take long as Dumbledore and his order arrive to greet me.
Hello, Dumbledore, I said, not looking at him.
Hello to you, Sir Dryodalis. What brings you to Hogwarts with such a big crowd, no less? He said with the signature grandfather smile after looking around. You can stop with the act, you know, I said. Act? What you mean, The grandfather act, I said. Ha ha, as much as you think this is an act. I'm telling you he was about to continue, but I cut him off. I killed Voldemort, I said, causing to look serious with his group. As much as I want to congratulate you, but Tom isn't going to die that easy, he said, looking serious. Yes, I know. That's why I killed all his Horcruxes first. So let me repeat myself, Tom Marvolo Riddle is dead, I said, finally looking at him. But it seems that you actually did it, Dumbledore said, making his order whisper in happiness. Yes, now there's only one more dark wizard I need to kill, I said, standing up and transfigured the throne away. And who would that be? Dumbledore said. Why, you, of course, I said, pointing at him. How dare you accuse Dumbledore of such thing, one of Dumbledore's lackeys said, but I didn't pay attention to him and just started at Dumbledore. Don't try to deny it. I know everything. I also know you're the champion of magic herself, and well, I have to kill or seal her, so she doesn't enslave my race again, so one way or another you have to die. Is that so? Dumbledore said. Well, before we start, can we move to a less crowded area? He said. By all means, go ahead, we'll follow, I said, starting to float, making him start floating, and head to Quidditch Pit. As soon as he arrived, his Fawkes was there with the Elder Wand and gave it to him and then floated by him. "Let's start, shall we?" Dumbledore said as we stared each other floating in the sky with both armies and now students watching. "Yes, let's start the beginning of the end," I said and fired the first spell. The first spell was just to stupefy, but as soon as I threw it, the battle began, elves fighting wizards and me fighting Dumbledore. "You know I had it all figured out," Dumbledore said, looking angry for the first time. "Everything would have gone according to plan if it wasn't for you," Dumbledore said, "and the fire a spell making me start flying. As we were flying, we both fired of spells and dodges them. So far, we both were equally, and so enough we reached a stalemate, until he brought the Phoenix in. With the Phoenix helping him, I was getting a little distracted, so I decided to fix that. Avada Kedavra, I said, aiming at Fawkes, but missed. Better call you Birdback, or else it's going to die permanently, I yelled at Dumbledore. I supposed I should put it to better use before something happens to it, Dumbledore said, and then proceeded to call and absorb the Phoenix. Wow, power-hungry much, I said. He didn't say anything and just kept attacking, but this time more fiercely than before, so fierce that he actually hit me, causing me to frown. All right, time to fight seriously, I said, and started using my combined energy instead of just one. I then let my nature mana out, forming into multiple elemental dragons which all went after Dumbledore. While he busies fighting those guys, I prepared my new second strongest attack. First, I make a giant bubble, but this bubble is split in the middle. What's special about this attack is whichever side you end up in the bubble determined whether you will be pulled apart by gravity or crushed by it. As I finished my attack, Dumbledore has taken care of my dragons by making a stone hydra and is fighting the last one, but just as he finishes, I attack and throw the giant bubble at him. Not bad, Dumbles, but I think it's about time we end this. The longer we fight, the more chances you to win, so let's end this, I said after throwing the giant bubble at him, getting his attention. He, of course, makes the stone hydra take the damage, but when the hydra gets inside the bubble, its head are crushed and pulled apart, which caused Dumbledore to start dogging. But I put a tracking charm on him, and no matter how much teleported, he still couldn't lose it, so he tries the oldest trick in the book. He heads straight to me, smiling, thinking he beat me. When he gets close enough, he teleports behind me and kept flying, thinking my own attack would hit me, because of how close it is. What happens instead is that the bubble splits and doubles its speed and traps Dumbledore, who is now being pulled and crushed by gravity, but is holding on with magic. And just like that, I win, and I didn't even have to fight the primordial, I said, and then realized the stupidity of my words because Dumbledore's eyes glow and he destroyed my bubbles easily. Did you really think it'd be that easy, puny elf? Dumbledore said, but with a voice of a woman. Honestly, I really hoped that it was, I said, but she ignored me and looked to my side. Hello, Gaia, she said to Gaia, who just appeared looking the angriest I've ever seen her. Alexandra, Gaia said with hatred rolling of her. Last time you got away from me, but not this time. No, this time I will be the only primordial left and will rule everything, the newly dubbed Alexandra said. Oh, then why don't you slip out that shell and fight Mana, I said, interrupting their conversation. Please, the moment I leave this vessel, you steal the Elder Wand and plush. I can't take you on just fine like this, she said, and then waved her hands, causing my body to fly away at unknown speed and land somewhere in London. When I land, I started to feel a massive amount of pain. It felt like how I died the first time. Where I crashed, there was a crater. The muggles noticed, but I didn't care from the amount of pain I was feeling. Ow, I managed to say. Dryer, are you okay? Gaia said, appearing by me. What does it look like? I said. Not the time, Gaia said. I don't think I can beat her. She's too strong, I said. No, you just need to be on her leave, Gaia said to me. And how do I do that? I said. You need to fuse with me. When you woke me up, you technical, were the new primordial of nature. As you made the energy, now I'm going to give all back. Gaia said. Okay, but what will happen to you? I said with worry. I'm just going to be inside of your head for a while. You'll be able to separate when you're powerful enough, she said, and then looked up to see Alexandra appear. Okay, let's do this, I said, and she smiled and kissed me. "Oh, one's last kiss before you die. How romantic," Alexandra said with arrogant face, but that didn't last long as me in Gaia glowed green and then the crater glowed a blinding green. When the light went down, it revealed me to look the same, but I had Guestwood horns and last of all I felt truly complete. "So, this is me," I said, admiring the felling of completion. "Fine, it seems we have to do this the hard way," Alexandra said, and then placed the Elder Wand head and the proceed to change into a dragon. Dumbledore's body finished to reveal an all-giant black dragon who was flapping his wing floating in the air. "Yes, the hard way," I said, and then proceeded to change into a dragon of the same size of him, but I was green with hard and sturdy wood horns. Alright, we butt-roared and started fighting each other. The tour de pauvre. The world was quacking, animals were going wild, nature was raging, the sea, the sky, everything was in chaos, but strangely no single person was moving. The reason for this was because of different feelings such as fear, amazement, and shock, because in the sky there were two dragons of massive size that were fighting using the very elements themselves. It could not be told who was on the winning side until the green dragon made a move. Perf Dryadalis Rex. I was tired. As much power I had, I couldn't fight her forever. So I decided to end this by getting the only thing that can end it, my ultimate attack. I opened my mouth and this time I didn't do a bubble and in my eye collapsed gravity and shot it at her. Then I went to her forehead and transformed back into a human. "Are you crazy, a black hole? You kill us all," Alexandra said, now fighting the gravitational pull of the newly formed black hole. "Not if I beat you first," I said, landing on her head, and then started climbing her head, heading to where the Elder Wand was situated. "Fine, since I'm going to die, might as well take you with me," Alexandra said, and stopping fighting the current and start being pulled towards the black hole. Right before we hit the black hole, and I felt all my cells being stretched out and destroyed, I touched the Elder Wand and felt a sucking motion coming from inside my soul, and then not everything went blank. For the last time I am in the dark space where it all began, but this time it wasn't the same. No, this time I felt like I had control to anything I wanted, and that when I knew I had become the master of death, so I did the next thing. "Reverse," I said with power, making reality itself reverse. The world went in reverse, and my body returns to right where I was before I shot the black hole. But this time I wasn't in my dragon form, but was wearing an all-black Reaper outfit. "What happened? Why are you dressed like that?" Alexandra asked, looking scared. "I gathered all the hollows and reversed time," I said with my chilling voice. "That's impossible," she said, then touching her head to see the wand not there. "Impossible, that's just simply impossible. Death can't reverse time," she said, looking scared. "Time does not matter to death," I said. No, Alexandra said, then started flying away with fear. "Dread it? Run from its death arrives to all," I said, wave my scythe toward where she was flying, sending out a beam of black cut that seemed to stop time and slice through her and cutting her in half. Then cuts Dumbledore's soul, then finally cut through her, sending all the trapped essences of different primordial out. And the story ends 100 years later. It's been a few years since I've the fight, and everything has been well, and a new society where everyone can use magic is born. How did I do that? Well, simple. I am literally the most powerful person in the world, so I told them to place nice and did a minor mental manipulation for them to accept it, and boom, everything is fine. It's good to have power. As for me and Gaia, I became the new primordial of death and gave the rest of my power of nature to her, and she once again became the primordial of nature. We are happily married with kids. The end.